A new champion will be crowned in college softball. Oklahoma had won 4 straight titles, but Texas and Texas Tech play a winner-take-all Game 3 at 5.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Welcome into Wyman and Bob, Seattle Sports on 710 and seattlesports.com. You can text in today. And we need you to text in today because it's Mean Text Friday. Lefko will get you going here pretty soon. 866-979-3776. Mike filling in today for Bob Stelton, who is out. And we got a good show, Mike. We got a bunch of really good guests here. John Boyle at 3 o'clock. He's the senior digital media reporter, of course, for Seahawks.com. And then we got our guy JP from MLB.com, Jon Morosi at 4 o'clock. And then Gary Hill Jr. at 5 o'clock. He'll take us right up to game time there with a little visit there from down in L.A. And then we got Mean Texts at 5:15. So get creative, as Bob likes to say. You can be just plain-ass mean if you want. It's me and Lefko today. So
well,
that's,
Dave,
that's
can you read that number again, but kind of slowly? Take some time.
Quick, don't I?
No, just for our listeners. Normally, that's fine. But because the people texting in need some time to process, they're not the brightest. So if you can read that a little slower.
8, that's the one that looks like a snowman. 669793776.
Thank you.
Is that good enough?
Yeah. I also do love the fact that you tried to do it slowly one time and then forgot the number. You get the rhythm. Yeah, you get the rhythm. That's
866-979-3776.
to actually think about the numbers. It's tough.
Yeah.
But that's the number. So,
yeah.
Mean text, please.
Exactly.
Or else Matt will have to send a lot in about us, and he'd like that actually. So.
Oh, I'm going to do that regardless.
It might be too hurtful. Okay, we need more text then.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure several of them will come from Matt himself. I still haven't really checked, but he does tend to mean text us.
Dave has not recovered from your insult yesterday.
Oh, that was a good one.
Oh, man. All right, let's recap that. That was, and I texted him last night, did I not? I was like,
you did?
I said, A, good one. B, and whatever we were talking about the show, but yeah, it was fantastic. I said that Bryce Miller was expertly interviewed, and so Matt just chimes in with, so Bob was solo? You gotta love that. I
was proud of that one.
That was really good.
It's good.
That was really good. Hey, before we get started, since I'm running the show, I get to do whatever I want. But I was talking about this the other day. I saved this for when it was you and me, Mike, because a guy named Tony Wolden, I just mentioned him the other day. He's the head coach or the skipper up at Mount Vernon. They won a state championship. AAA state championship, the Bulldogs, and there was a really cool tweet. And the reason why I said I'm waiting because Bob, isn't here today, is Tony and I were on the same fantasy football league.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got to be friends, and I knew if I brought that up that he wouldn't be too excited about that. But I saw this the other day as a really cool tweet on Skagit Preps. You can check that out. Mount Vernon won the 1990 state championship back in 1990. It's a black and white picture, and there's a picture of Tony himself, who was a player for Mount Vernon, and he's hoisting the coach, Bill McCutcheon. I guess he's a legendary coach up there in Mount Vernon. And then there's a side-by-side picture, and he's number 18. You can see him picking his coach up. And then 35 years later, there's a side-by-side picture of Tony with his players hoisting him up. So it's really cool. And also, they have a player named Xavier Nyans. We were kind of checking out, Mike. I mean, Tony tells me, first of all, he's just a great kid. But, he had a 455 batting average, 1327 OPS, and he's a top 20 prospect. So, we got the draft is coming up here for Major League Baseball draft, July 13th through 15th. But it'll be interesting. And you and I were kind of checking him out. And it looks like the Orioles possibly are interested in him, or that's at least where they have him mocked. But anyway, just a really really good player, and just a very cool tweet at Skagit Preps on their Twitter account there. But yeah, check that out. But I know they're having a big celebration for him up there in Mount Vernon. They had a parade and everything going down the street. It was really cool. But what's not cool, Mike? The Mariners striking out. And, I was just looking at some of well, first of all, I think the thing that stands out the most is that yesterday, Dylan Moore, is the last at bat, and he was their last chance, and he just whiffs on 3 strikes right in a row. And then the other thing that happened is that, you had Cal Raleigh pretty much just entirely carry the team. And so if you go back and look at some of the rankings as far as in Major League Baseball, they've dropped off pretty precipitously over the last month. And, you look at like walks, they went from number 3 to number 7. I mean, this is like going back to the San Diego Padres series. But the 3 that haven't suffered for them hitting is slug, where they went from number 12 to number 14. OPS, they stayed the same at number 12, and then they went up in home runs. They're number 6 now instead of number 7 they were before, with 81 home runs. And next to all 3 of those stats, I put Cal. Yeah. Cal. I mean,
well, that's the problem. Yeah. It's just him.
Just Cal Raleigh. And, you were talking about the whiff rate and, some of the things that are going on offensively right now. And, it's pretty amazing. They have over 100 strikeouts. I think the number's like 113 since that, going back to the Houston series. So I mean, you look at the strikeouts. It's alarming. It's like 12, 11, 8, 11, 9. I mean, double digit going back over the last 15 to 20 games here, where they've really started striking out, and it's hurting their on-base percentage, obviously. And then, they get swept by Baltimore, who has a negative record.
Well, they have a twofold problem right now, Dave. They're missing a lot of pitches, and they have limited power. So those are never good. And you look at what the Mariners are not doing well, and this kind of spawned from a conversation that Adam Jude had with Brock and Salk a couple days ago. So when you dive into the numbers, their whiff rate, so just swinging and missing at pitches, is the 3rd worst in baseball. Only the Rockies, who are terrible at everything, and the Angels, who they're not very good. They had those stretches of poor offense that hopefully that continues this weekend. Only those 2 are worse. And then here's the key one, and it takes a little bit of explanation for some people listening out there. Zone contact percentage. So percentage of contact in the strike zone, which, you would think, hey, good teams, good offensive teams, that's pretty high. 80.2%, which is 2nd worst in baseball. The only team worst at making contact at pitches in the zone, that's in the strike zone, not even going to chase balls outside of the plate, are the Rockies. So the Mariners are not hitting pitches in the strike zone. And what's incredibly concerning is what Adam Jude said here when he was on with Brock and Salk, that not only are they missing a lot of pitches, Dave, they're missing fastballs. They cannot hit a fastball to save their life in the month of May.
Obviously, when you look at the Mariners' offensive struggles since May 1st, a big part of it is their struggles against the fastball. They have the 2nd worst run value in all of baseball against both the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer since May 1st. So that's kind of a hard stop right there. They're 29th out of 30 teams against fastballs since May 1st. That's the root of their issues right now. Now, again, dig deeper. What is the root of that? Why are they struggling to hit the fastball? I think there's probably a few different reasons why, and I'm curious to talk to Kevin Seitzer and maybe Edgar Martinez and Dan Wilson here this week to try maybe get to the bottom of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's fascinating because that is, I don't want to say it's the most simplistic pitch because all of these pitches have ridiculous movement. Their velocity is insane, up there, nearly 100 miles an hour, but that's the most basic pitch you're going to get. Everyone has a fastball, even if it is a sinker that has some good movement. If you're sitting on the fastball, which we can dive into what Kevin Seitzer told Brock and Salk a couple of weeks ago as well, but that's what the Mariners, that was their mantra of keeping it simple is, hey, be ready for that fastball. Get ready to attack that fastball when you get it, and they're not doing that. And what you mentioned with Dylan Moore at the end of the game, you can extrapolate that to the whole inning if you want that small sample size of Baker, the reliever who came in for the Orioles. He had a 14-pitch 9th inning. 11 of the pitches he threw, four-seam fastballs. And the at-bat, Miles Mastroboni, when he got on base, for some reason, Baker didn't throw him a fastball, and look what happened. Mastroboni singled and reached. But every other hitter either could not find a fastball or flied out on it. So teams know, for some reason, something's not going well with the Mariners hitters. It could be a combination of guys are pressing, which we'll dive into a little bit more because the offense seems a little more limited than we thought, or they are just going up there and overthinking or not attacking like they used to, but they can't hit a fastball, and that's the crux and the core of why this fall-off has happened in May.
Yeah, I mean, you could see if it was off-speed pitches, right? And that's very, very concerning. And the other thing that really brought that stat home, Mike, your zone contact percentage stat, second worst, the Rockies.
Yeah, you don't want to be close to the Rockies in anything.
You don't. And what do they won, like 6 games at home? So yeah, it's just. And I don't know what the answer is, but Kevin Seitzer, he was on with Brock and Salk. This is back May 23rd, but he explains what it means when he and Edgar preach a simplified approach.
It's kind of me having exactly the same belief that Edgar does and what he instilled in these guys last year when he came on board and took over. And it was get on the fastball. Don't be in between. Don't try and figure out pitches and location and thinking about mechanics to be able to get your good swing off, and just get on the fastball and hit it back through the middle of the field. That's how simple we want to keep it.
Well, somehow that's changed.
Yeah,
So,
well, and it's funny. The one guy I heard say that the other day, and he was like, somebody asked him, what's your approach? It was Cal Raleigh. Said, I'm trying to hit it right to the center fielder every time. So, yeah, I mean, that not quite getting through. And by the way, Zach Harris wrote a great article on, what is it?
Our website.
MyNorthwest.com. Yeah, on our website, Seattle Sports. And, yeah, I mean, it kind of broke the whole thing down. But I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things that you wonder, is it something that's psychological, or once it gets in your head, are guys pressing things that you mentioned? And Kevin Seitzer also talked about how they prepare their hitters for waiting on the fastball.
Yeah, so we get the all the information, and kind of the overview broad spectrum is this is how he pitches to lefties, this is how he pitches to righties. These are the percentage of pitches that he uses, and we break it down before 2 strikes and then with 2 strikes. How much he's in zone with each pitch, and before 2 strikes and with 2 strikes. And then we also have a heat map as to where he throws location-wise before 2 strikes, with 2 strikes. And so we have access to all this information, and, he may be 30% fastball and 70% off-speed pitches, but three out of 10 are going to be fastballs. So you still have to be ready for the fastball, because you can adjust to the other stuff. You throttle down and wait easier than you can catch up.
Dave, what's tough about that is, and this is the puzzle and the befuddling nature of hitting and what a hitting coach's role is, because we just went through this last year when they fired Brant Brown as the hitting coordinator. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach for hitting. You can have a hitting coach. You can have all that information that Kevin Seitzer just mentioned. And he did talk about, we can play this cut in a second, but he talked about Cal Raleigh really taking to it. So for someone like Cal, that might work, and we're seeing the results. But for someone like Randy Arozarena, who Seitzer also mentioned in this interview with Brock and Salk, it seems like that's a little too much, that now Arozarena's up there and he's overthinking. He's trying to sequence the at-bat and say, well, okay, if it is 0-1, what's this guy going to throw me here? Oh, if I know he's going to throw me this, is he actually going to throw me that? So it feels like a couple Mariners hitters now, and maybe this isn't the same for the top of the order as the bottom of the order, but they are just up there, and they're too much in their heads of trying to get that at bat right, because there is pressure for the offense to perform because it has fallen off. And then at the top of the order, it seems like, as you mentioned in Zach's article, that Julio is pressing a little bit now, because Zach and I were sitting there at the game yesterday, and Zach turned to me and goes, well, he's swung at every single pitch for 2 straight plate appearances. Not just every pitch that's a strike. Julio swung at 9 straight pitches from Zach Eflin. So for hitters at the top of the order who know that they have to carry the brunt of this offense, it seems like they're pressing, And then maybe you go all the way down to the bottom of the order, guys who are still acclimating to Major League Baseball, because you have a lot of young guys up there. Ben Williamson and Cole Young are getting a lot of at-bats. It seems like this for them is a little too much in trying to not be simple up there, that they're trying to sequence way too much of what's happening, counts, what pitch might come from pitchers. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's an easy fix right now. And I say all that, and we know they've been good on the road. So this could all change tonight. But for what we've seen so far from May, it feels like that's what's going on.
I think if I was a Mariner hitter right now, I would go sit next to Cal.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just try to figure out like what is. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's doing right now. The last 19 games, I think I went back to the San Diego Padre. The Padre series, and in 19 games, he's had 27 strikeouts, but he's also had 10 walks. But he's batting .310. His OPS is 1214, and 11 home runs, 21 RBIs, and he's got a stolen base in there too. By the way, I'd like to point that out. But he just seems like the one guy that has it figured out at the plate, and and it's just so much mental, and that's the part of it that I think is frustrating, and it's also the part we talk about all the time on the show. It's the hardest thing to do in all of pro sports. I mean, you might say. I mean, sometimes I watch these golfers, and I'm like, okay, first of all, the ball's not moving. It's just sitting there, okay? But, I mean, for you to hit it 350, 400 yards right down the middle, yeah, that's incredibly skilled. But when you've got, anything from, 87 miles an hour to 100, and, you're standing up there, I mean, it's a mystery, I think, and it's a mystery right now for the Mariners, the way that they're hitting.
Yeah, I do wonder if
everyone other than Cal.
Right, and I wonder if it's, okay, Cal, we know he has prodigious talent, and so this was easier for him to pick up, or just because he is that much better, or if the rest of the lineup is having a little bit more of a difficult time figuring out exactly what this approach is. Because you can start with one plan, the simplistic plan, to keep it simple that Seitzer mentioned, that him and Edgar have preached, and that works for a time. But I think across any sport, and you know this, and we've seen it, regardless of what sport you're talking about, you can have a game plan, you can have a plan of attack, and that works for a little bit until teams adjust.
Right.
So then where's the counter? And it feels like there is that disconnect between the Mariners' original plan and what their counter is. So do they want to keep it simple and it's worked for Cal, or do they want to reacclimate? But like we were talking about, this was Seitzer saying that, yeah, Cal Raleigh is the guy who it's clicked with the most, that their approach that they have kind of preached to this lineup.
I would probably put Cal at the top of the list, but I mean, everybody else is right there too. It's like these guys are bought in, and I go back to kudos to Edgar for setting the tone last year, and they were bought in last year. There was success that happened from it, and so it's been a really, really fun group. It's been a great process and relationships that I've been able to establish with these guys so quickly. And, I feel like there's trust and there's buy-in. And, again, nobody wants this stuff to be complicated and hard.
The one thing that's comforting, Mike, is what you just said, is that maybe they're just in a period of adjustment, at this point in the season. And, it's kind of funny. It's like, you have double-digit strikeouts, but you end up winning the game, whatever. I mean, and it kind of goes by unnoticed. But then all of a sudden, you get swept by the Baltimore Orioles, right, and you're like, this is a problem. So, yeah, then real quick, I want to get to this Justin Hollander cut here. But if you missed any of our show at any time, you want to go watch things again, I would think, especially with Lefko here, you'd want to watch it again. Check out our Wyman Bob channel on the Seattle Sports YouTube page and search for Seattle Sports on all social media platforms to find segments like our conversation with Seahawks players, Mariners players, and much more. What would you do right now? If you're Kevin Seitzer, I mean, what kind of approach? I mean, he seems like one of those guys that puts things very plainly. Like he was talking about tightening your core at the plate, and somebody, I think it was Jen Mueller, asked him, "What's that mean?" And he was like, when you take a picture and you got a big gut, you wouldn't know this, Mike. You gotta kind of flex a little bit. Just the way he explains things, and it's really that's all coaching is just using the right words, right?
I think adjustment-wise, I don't know. Maybe this is bold, but you need bold at this point. First of all, move some guys around, and we disagree on this a little bit, but just move Polanco down. The issue is, who do you put up there, which becomes complicated. So you need a guy who gets on base or a guy who is consistent. Cal Raleigh has hit second when Polanco hasn't been in. So I would like Cal up there second. You know, JP has been great at getting on base. You're going to almost guarantee someone's on when Cal comes up. Julio third, and then that's the issue. There's no consistency behind those three. Randy Arozarena doing what he did at the start of the year, especially coming through with clutch at bats, was so key to lengthening the lineup. But without that, it really is a big question mark. You know, we can get into this a little bit later throughout the show. I do have a bold idea for completely reconstructing the lineup. There's a tease. How about we get to that? How about we get to that at 4:30? So tune back in for that conversation at 4:30. We'll keep it going.
There you go. Hey, the 2025 All-Star ballot is open, and Cal, Julio, JP, and the crew, they need your help to secure a spot at this year's Midsummer Classic in Atlanta. Vote 5 times per day, every day through June 26th at MLB.com/vote. All right, let's take two.
The Mariners begin the 3-game series against the Angels tonight. It'll be Bryce Miller's second start since returning from the IL. The Mariners will see Kyle Hendricks for the first time as an Angel. He signed a 1-year deal. And Dave, unfortunately, when I was looking back through that Angels series, the Mariners won. They won those 2 games.
Yeah.
One of those games, though, was solely because of Jorge Polanco. He drove in all 5 runs with 2 home runs, a 2-run homer and a 3-run homer. So where does the offense come from outside of Cal? We'll see. But yeah, 3-game series begins tonight against the Angels.
So he was basically playing the role of Cal Raleigh.
He was. Remember how absurd that month was? He had like 9 home runs in the month of April. He was a Player of the Month candidate. He had Player of the Week honors. So
I'm really fired up to see Bryce Miller. We got a chance to talk to him yesterday. And, you know, he's one of those guys that every once in a while I'll hear from somebody going, yeah, I had him as a Cy Young candidate. And, you know, we heard that from, who was that during the
Ryan Dempster.
Spring training? Dempster. Yeah, and heard it from a lot of different places. And Bryce seemed very relaxed yesterday when we talked to him. Seemed like he was in a good mood. So I would love to see him get back to what he was last year. Really, all of our pitchers other than Wu, you know, and really Castillo. Castillo has been good, but I mean, for the most part, you've been missing those other 3 starters.
Well, June is a great month for championships. All the championships are handed out across a couple other sports. So Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight at 5. Edmonton has a 1-0 series lead. Then Dave, last night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, OKC blows a 15-point fourth-quarter lead. The Pacers have a go-ahead shot with 0.3 seconds left. They take Game 1, and all of Seattle rejoices.
Yes, they do. I'll tell you what, I was listening. I think that was the final shot that won the game the first time they took the lead in
Absurd.
The entire game. And so I'm sure people in Seattle that were listening were just suffering through the entire thing, right? I mean, and it just looks like for sure they're going to win that game. And so, yeah, I'm sure people were celebrating along with Pacer fans like you.
It's nice having everyone root for the same team I do, because that never happens usually. There's a cool logo that's gone out there. I don't know who made it. It goes to the internet, then it's kind of public domain. But someone made the Seattle skyline that was part of that Sonics logo and put it inside the P and the Pacer that has the ball usually. So it's a Pacers Sonics blended logo.
Nice.
And now everyone's just rooting for Indiana. Welcome to the Midwest. It's a good place to be. Root for the Pacers for this series.
Yeah. It's just more anti-OKC.
Yes,
for sure.
It is.
Hey, Take Two is brought to you by Swedish Cyberknife. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. All right, coming up, the biggest boost to the Seahawks offensive line this season will probably come from someone already on the roster. That's up next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefko.
Brock and Salk.
Coach McDonald, is there anything that could happen other than an injury between now and the beginning of the season that would lead to a different quarterback?
This is a crazy question. It's just not going to happen. Like, Sam's our starting quarterback. I think it's funny that the media is out there for like the first day and all of a sudden they know exactly how good we're going to be and how good all the players are. And it's like, we don't even put on pads yet. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy question.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with some great news. I'm with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and owner of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. Shannon, You guys just increased your community coverage.
That's right, Brock. We like to say we're in your neighborhood. We have you covered here at IRG. We just added 2 fantastic locations. One is in Harbor Square in the Edmonds Bowl, and the other one is in the Mill Creek Town Center, right to the entrance to Mill Creek Town Center. So we'll be able to provide fantastic care to all of us and everybody's neighborhood.
You know I love it. Expert physical and hand therapy right in your neighborhood.
That's right. We're in your neighborhood. We want to be your neighborhood family physical therapist. We'll take care of you, your family, and your neighbor.
And remember, no referral needed. Just personalized care when and where you need it. Visit irgpt.com and schedule your appointment today. With over 40 convenient locations, IRG is right in your neighborhood, and now 2 new spots as well. That's irgpt.com, irgpt.com.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 62225, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-566-1649. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-566-1649. That's 800-566-1649.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
The home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Cal swinging a drive, deep to right field.
Every pitch of every Mariners game is on the Seattle Sports app.
Synthetic Turf Northwest is now open in Fife, the South Sound headquarters for premium synthetic turf. They help homeowners with a turnkey solution, DIYers, and contractors and landscapers needing quality products. With premium turf in stock, expert advice, and pro installation services, everything you need is under one roof. Visit their new showroom off I-5 in Fife, Synthetic Turf Northwest. Supplies and installation expertise all in one place. Mention radio for up to $1,000 off. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out video only.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. Prostate cancer can be silent. It's important to get checked, even if you have no symptoms. Ask your primary care doc for a PSA screening if you're 50 or over, and 45 if there's a family history. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment at Swedish Cyberknife right here in Seattle. It only takes 5 short treatment sessions. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
Wyman and Bob. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob. It's Dave Wyman and Michael Lefko today. What do you expect out of Abe Lucas this season? The offensive tackle out of Washington State. He had such an unbelievably good rookie year. He was so good. And then, one of the other things, his first game back last year against San Francisco, I remember I had the all-22 film, watching it on the way back, and Rabel was sitting next to me, and I'm like, Rabes, look at this. Look at this. Watch him here. I mean, it was unbelievable watching Abe Lucas. But, the big problem, Mike, with him has always been, the knee problem. And, and that's something I think has been kind of concerning, because it wasn't like, at least it didn't appear to be anything that you just have surgery and you're done and you rehab it. It just kind of seemed like it was an ongoing thing. But he was asked if his knee is 100%.
I don't know if anybody's ever really 100% healthy. So, I mean, I'm playing, that's a good sign. Can't really,
Okay, so that concerned me, because we're sitting here in June. Nothing's happened. There's been no contact. This is when you should be the healthiest. But then I was going to defer to you. So as a guy who went through the grind and the grueling nature of NFL seasons, is that more normal than we're going to really panic over? Like, would you go into a season knowing, like, all right, there are some things that are just bothering me?
I think Abe likes to kind of keep it a mystery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, and not for attention at all. I just think that's the kind of guy that he is. Like, I think he kind of thinks it's nobody's business, but that's just what, because he is an incredibly thoughtful guy. He really is. I mean, you're going to get good answers out of him that are very truthful, and I think he's just being very truthful. I mean, there used to be a joke in the NFL that, I haven't been 90% or 100% since the 8th grade, which is before you start playing tackle football typically. And, and so I think that is one of the things that concerns everybody, is just the knee, because I'm looking at their depth, and I don't know if they're going to add, or they're maybe going to get somebody during the offseason, but you got Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, of course. Other than that, what I'm seeing on the roster anyway, Michael Jarrell, who I'm really excited about. He's the kid out of Findlay, Division II team, and he's just a great story. And he got forced into action last year because of the injuries at offensive line, and probably not ideal. They kind of had to force him in there, and that wasn't the plan that they had for him. He actually played pretty well, particularly in that Atlanta game. But now you look at, everything is about the offensive line and them being able to run the ball and everything. Well, Abraham Lucas is a big part of that. So, but I don't know. To answer your question, I think that's kind of one of those things that football players just say all the time. And, I don't think you're ever going to catch Abraham Lucas off guard. He's a very sharp guy that is ready to answer questions. And so I don't know. I'm chalking that up to he's just talking like a football player, that it's not that, he's got some kind of a problem with his knee.
Yeah, does it give you more concern because there have been problems staying on the field the past few seasons? Or is it, okay, this is the same knee and now it's going to be different? Because it seems like in 2023, the Seahawks were caught off guard. And it was unexpected. And how can you prepare for a guy who was so healthy in his rookie season to play that first game against the Rams, leaves the game, then misses the next 9 weeks of the season? So yeah, there is no backup. There's no alternative. Do you now go into this season thinking, okay, we need Josh Jones or whoever's going to be our right tackle ready in case it is another 2 to 3 weeks of this knee's nagging and really is acting up right now? Or is it just, like you said, he's going to be not 100%, but not 100% of Abe Lucas is still much, much better than any other option?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're injured and you can't execute what you need to do, I mean, even if you're 90%, you're not going to be playing. But Yeah, I mean, it's just I think he's such a great story, and I so want to just be able to just check him off and not think about it. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that we're going to talk to, about his injury, and he's probably going to be changed. There's going to be some up and some down, but man, when he's healthy, he's such a good player. And I can't imagine how sore he was. I remember we interviewed him right after that 49er game. He hadn't played in almost a year.
You and Bob did, yeah.
We're like, how you doing? And he goes, I'm sore. How are you? So that's just going to be kind of the story for him. But again, I just think he's really a thoughtful guy. When you hear him talking about the run game and stuff like that, what he understands, he's just a very mature player. But another cut on his health, and he's probably tired of being asked about it. But he was asked about if he's further ahead than he was last year.
As opposed to like last year, or like night and day. Yeah. No, I mean, it helps when you're not in a brace and you can actually walk without crutches. So, I mean, and you guys have seen, I mean, I post on social media, me lifting and stuff like that, and it sends everybody into a frenzy, which I think is kind of funny. But I'm doing good work, so I'm excited about it.
I haven't seen the social media stuff. What's he talking about?
I haven't either. I think just people watching him and what he can lift, and that he looks like, probably a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And if he's still supposedly not healthy and he's still doing that, that's impressive. Or just the excitement of, hey, this is what he's doing right now, what it projects for the season. The only thing I was thinking about when I was playing, I wonder if you could send social media into a frenzy, Dave, if you posted a workout video. You posted a video of you on the treadmill. We're all waiting for that infamous treadmill video to surface.
The one where I fall?
Yeah.
That's not anywhere on video.
I don't know. Matt's trying to find it right now. If you ever posted that, it would send social media into a frenzy. Have you heard about the infamous Wyman treadmill video?
I have.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, but
do you believe him though?
I still don't know what happened.
Do I believe that Dave Wyman does not film his treadmill workouts? Yes, I do believe that Dave does not do that.
Yeah, I don't know what Lefko's trying to create right now. There's not some secret video out there.
I don't know. So, Patty found a video that we didn't know existed of Dave breaking the steps. So
but that's because it was in front of a camera we walk by every day.
That's my secret hope. But I think to get back to Abe Lucas and the fact that what he could do if he's not even fully healthy, like you mentioned last year, came back for that Niners game. And he mentioned how sore he was, and he still was coming back from a year away. He was so durable after that. The knee didn't affect him the rest of the year. He played 6 games after that, played 100% of the snaps, did miss the finale against the Rams. That was for an ab issue, so not knee-related. So the fact that, yes, when Abe Lucas is in, it puts so much more on what this offensive line can do. I think you're right. That's why we kind of default back to the worry of if he's not in there, because you have a huge decline in pass protection, what we expect this run game to be, and the fact that going back to that 2022 draft, like you said, where he was almost the steal of that draft class, and a very good draft class where you're picking 9th overall, that left tackle, Charles Cross, is going to be a franchise guy. To get what looked like at the time, another franchise cornerstone at right tackle, it's huge. Not a lot of teams can do that in one draft in one fell swoop. So if he can still develop into that, and that's another big question we get into the offseason, Dave, as we get into training camp, what do they do with Abe Lucas? There's a contract decision coming up because he's part of that 2022 draft class. So he will be one of the most fascinating stories of minicamp next week and then of training camp at the end of July.
It's a shame that but that's just the path that he's on, and that's just what it is. But I got to tell you, man, his personality especially is perfect, I feel like, for what they're trying to get done. I mean, I think John Benton, the offensive line coach, is going to love him because he just has a very attack type of, he's an offensive lineman, and a lot of times, and I know that offensive linemen love to run much more than pass block just because, you're being aggressive. You're the aggressor, whereas you're just kind of playing defense, backing up in a pass pro. So, but yeah, he's perfect for that, what they want to get done. And also he's a technician. He's really good. And he does a lot of things. I saw him do something, and I talked to Ray about this. This was his rookie year, and I mentioned this a couple of times, but he was about to get bull rushed, and he just instantly, and I don't know that this is like textbook offensive line play, but he just he put his feet out and just dropped his butt down and was able to sort of neutralize the bull rush that he was getting, and it looked like he wasn't quite prepared for it. But what I look for in offensive linemen all the time is how do they adjust? You know, and if you all of a sudden get beat, I think was it Cable Do? I was watching one of the draft choices on video right around the time of the draft, and I think it was Cable Do, the kid we got out of Kansas. And, you know, he got beat off the ball, but it's all about, like, what angle do you take to mitigate the damage, and how do you get back on track? And he did it really well. Abe is like the master of that in pass blocking. He's so good at recovery, because you're going to get surprised every once in a while. It's almost like a hitter. Like, you don't know, okay, is this guy going to throw me off speed, or is he going to throw a fastball? Is he just going to bull rush? And that's kind of the equivalent of, you know, a fastball. Or is he going to, you know, try to put a move on me, a swim move, a rip move, whatever. So he's really good at that kind of recovery. So, yeah, he's one of those guys we don't talk a lot about, but other than, like, his injury. But what he means to this team, man, is it's really going to be important. And look, I don't think he needs to be 100%. But he needs to be able to play his game, and his game is really good. All right, coming up, Cal Raleigh is becoming America's catcher. That's up next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Dave Wyman and Mike Lefko. It's Wyman and Bob.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's not good.
Back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road, where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of 3 against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
LeeJohnson.com is a dynamic research tool.
We want to give the customer enough information to where they don't have to go anywhere else to research any of the questions they have. And if they want more information, we'd love to be there to help. We don't want them to feel like they're dependent on emailing us or texting us or calling us just to get the information they need. So we put it all out there. We call them digital retailing tools, big fancy calculators where you can get in there and change the terms and change the payments and change the cash down. And it'll give you a disclosure of, hey, when you do this, this means here. And a consumer can get on there and do a lot of this themselves. And then if they choose to get us involved, we can actually get involved on the backside of it and help them along the way. We want to give the consumer the same tools that we have and let them understand what we understand.
Yup, that's pretty much what you'd expect. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you know a woman that gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Shannon Dreyer here. Seattle Sports is partnering with the Seattle chapter of WHYS, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help in finding her. Nominations for the 4th Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 11th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at WOISeattle.org.
The home of the Mariners.
Left off to center. It is on its way. Julio, 2-run home run.
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
You know what's faster than your paycheck? Literally everything. It's time to get your pay up to speed. With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors. Available in select states. Expedited transfers available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Wyman and Bob.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob. It's Dave Wyman and Mike Lefko and, of course, Matt Nelson. He's driving the show later on today. We got
Don't blame
just a
me
few
for
minutes.
This.
Wait, what?
Don't blame me for this. I'm not driving the show. You're driving the show. I don't get blamed for whatever this is.
Okay. Can you turn off your mic now? Please. I'm driving the show. Okay. But, I mean, he makes it go. We got John Boyle coming up here in just a few minutes at 3 o'clock. Then we got JP Morosi at 4. Gary Hill Jr. at 5 o'clock. Mean Text, how are they looking?
Well, they're
Anybody?
not good. No.
They're not good, of
They're
course.
not awake yet. Yeah.
Not awake.
Yeah.
Stupid, you've called them.
Yeah.
I'm not about to piss anybody off today. So
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going to be the nice guy.
You'll still get mean texts in about you.
What have I done to you, Matt?
Your present. Yeah, so Matt should be happy. He's alone in that room. Isn't that your dream?
kidding.
We have come in here.
Yeah, but he still has to look at us and he can hear us.
It's pretty great. You're still talking to me, so like 50% of the way there, but it's nice in here.
Okay.
All right, well, let's talk about Caleb Jon Raleigh. Does most people know his name is Caleb?
I didn't realize
I didn't even
that
think about
until,
it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just Cal.
Yeah, he's just Cal.
Cal Raleigh, do you want him doing the home run derby? And I remember the discussion always comes up that time, and there's a player, I can't remember his name, you might remember, Mike, that was a home run hitter. He got in the home run derby, and it screwed up his swing. Do you remember that?
Julio? Everyone's worried about that.
Well, I mean, I know that there was somebody that, like, and he actually came out and said, yeah, it kind of screwed up my swing and everything, but I don't know. I'm curious, and you can text it in to 866-979-3776. Do it like a robot. Do you want him in the home run derby? I absolutely do. And I saw in his latest the Cal Raleigh show with Shannon Dreyer, he's using the torpedo bat from both sides now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
good insight there.
which is interesting, and I'll be curious, if he does get in, does he think I don't think you can screw up Cal's swing. I mean, I wouldn't think that he would even consider that. He's just such a solid guy and such a solid competitor. I wouldn't think, psychologically, maybe if you try to swing out of your shoes or whatever, pull something, I don't know. But to me, I want to see him in the Derby.
Absolutely.
Right now, I mean, can you imagine him going up against Aaron Judge? I mean, that's going to be primetime TV right there. People are going to love that.
Well, and just to help the national profile of Cal and his presence, and you know what? Ultimately, it's his decision, and he wants to do it. I mean, he told Mita Kimes this in an interview he did with her.
If I ever got invited to that, I would 100% do that.
So, okay, if a guy wants to do it, let him do it. It's not going to have a detrimental effect on his season. He's the one guy, he can do whatever he wants. He has the MLB lead in home runs. He's single-handedly carrying this offense right now. So if Cal wants to do it, let him do it. I think the concern is rest. This is a guy who catches essentially every single game. There's going to be a back half of the season. You have 2+ months the year after that. Does he need to be off his feet? Okay. He is tough. He played through a torn ligament during a playoff season in his thumb with the ball hitting that every single pitch. So I think he's fine. I think he knows how to manage his workload. And ultimately, if it's something that is a career achievement or desire, yeah, these guys are going to want to do it. It's important to them. It's like we can get into the discussion about the World Baseball Classic. From a team standpoint, you kind of grimace and you get nervous about them playing an extraneous event that isn't Mariners related. But to see someone grow up and have a dream like that, and look at Julio, what he did, people still talk about that single season record round he had, 41 home runs here in Seattle at the Home Run Derby. That's a moment no one will ever forget. And for Julio, I'm sure it's something he'll talk about, he'll remember as well. You look at the Home Run Derby records, Julio, single round total, 41 home runs. So in a team sport, you don't get a lot of individual opportunities to shine. I would love Cal Raleigh to do it.
Yeah, well, and he knows his body, and he's indestructible. I remember when we were sitting there talking to him about his thumb. That was at the end of the year banquet or whatever the hell it was, some media thing. And, he's sitting there talking about how, he had to have the surgery and everything. He's tough as nails. But also, I love the way he answered that question. And why wouldn't he? I mean, he's a competitor. Absolutely. So I wouldn't worry one bit about that part of it, or it screwing up anything with him. He's just such a steady character. I think that's one of the things that makes him so popular, that, Cal's like every guy, right? Mm-hmm. And, he plays that way too. I mean, yesterday, all 3 RBIs come from Cal. So, and we mentioned earlier the numbers of, the Mariner numbers for hitting have dropped off over the last month, and except for slug, OPS, and home runs, and that's all because of Cal. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be very excited to see him, and I just think for Major League Baseball, it would be really good to have, him against Aaron Judge. He was also asked if he would play in the 2026 World Baseball Classic.
In a heartbeat. So I feel like that's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, obviously with that and the stage. And you saw, what it was like the last time with
so great.
The whole Mike Trout, Ohtani, and
it's amazing
how many people were tuning in and how good it was for baseball. I'd love to do that.
See, that's the one I could see more hesitation, because it does take away from your season. It happens during spring training, so you do leave. You lose a little bit of that preparation going into the year, but it's a position player. And so I believe it's a lot different. I would love to see Cal represent Team USA. Aaron Judge has already come out and said, I'm the captain, and it's going to be a great moment, great prestige for baseball on a national stage. I understand the hesitation and the actual flat right dismissal of any pitcher. I wouldn't want any pitcher pitching in the WBC, because there is a finite amount of pitches in these arms. We know how fickle injuries can be for pitchers. We've seen it this season. But a position player, a couple more games, he's not going to catch every game in that like he would during a Mariner season. So if he's catching like 2 games total during the WBC, yeah, I would love it. And to have that profile on the national stage, I'm excited if Cal Raleigh gets to play in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, text in 866-979-3776. I can tell you personally, I won't read your texts probably today because I'm busy, but and I have a job. But yeah, I think it would be interesting, and I wouldn't worry about him getting too beat up or anything. And everybody's talking about him playing catcher, and he's going to wear out at some point. Maybe not. I mean, look, every player is going to wear out at some point down the road, but I don't think necessarily earlier for Cal. He's just, like you said, he's such a tough guy. All right, coming up next, he has all the behind-the-scenes info you need to know about this Seahawks offseason. Jon Boyle joins us next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefkoe.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's
Gunnar
not good.
Henderson, back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of 3 against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer needed. The brutal side effects like 4-hour headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health. It's about a better life.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Jet City Harley sign and ride event. No cash down needed. Rates as low as 1.49% APR on select Harleys. Save thousands on interest at Jet City Harley Davidson. On approved credit on new 2024 Lowrider ST, Lowrider S, or Road Glide 3 models. See dealer for details.
We at 3 Tree Roofing understand that your home is your castle. That's why our certified technicians use state-of-the-art installation methods to deliver the highest warranties available. Check out our hundreds of online reviews and schedule a free estimate to see for yourself. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. It's important for men to communicate about issues relating to their health, especially family health history. Prostate cancer has been in the news, and right now I'm joined by Dr. Landis from the Swedish Cancer Institute. Dr. Landis, how common is prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer here in the U.S. That ends up being about 300,000 cases per year.
How can men test for prostate cancer?
Well, first thing, patients should ask to have PSA screening from their primary care doc. Anyone 50 or over, and if you have a family history starting at 45 is pretty typical.
If diagnosed, why should patients seek out Swedish CyberKnife for treatment?
What we hear from patients all the time is that treatment really was amazing. They didn't have to take time off of work. The side effects are really minimal, and there was minimal interruption in their lives.
Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1225. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1225. That's 800-777-1225. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners began a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim. 5:30 pregame coverage here on Seattle Sports. A 6:38 first pitch. Bryce Miller set to make his second start since returning from the IL, while the Mariners will face Kyle Hendricks for the first time as an Angel. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final gets underway at 5 o'clock. Edmonton leads the series 1-0. They're trying to snap a 32-year drought for Canadian teams. And Diamondback starter Corbin Burns will undergo Tommy John surgery, so he's out for the rest of the 2025 season and then some. He's in the first year of a 6-year, $210 million contract with Arizona.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob, and right now we got Mike Lefko in with Bob being out today, and we got John Boyle, the Seahawks senior digital media reporter, on the line. He's on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook hotline. Boyle, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining us. And Mike brought this up, and I read this article right before we came on, but you did a thing before we get to the Seahawks top 50 and OTAs and things like that. You wrote a really cool article about being on the inside during the draft. And one of the things I saw that stood out was John Schneider with his quote, "So much room for activities," which is, of course, a Step Brothers reference. I mean, and he probably tries to keep things light in there. I know that about John. But, tell us some of the things in particular that really stood out when you had that access to the draft room.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. One thing that kind of stands out to me, having been in there a few times, is they do keep it pretty light. Like, as high stress as the draft can be at times, they do a really good job of, they keep it light when it's appropriate, and it's even when it's pretty busy with working on trades and all that, it's very calm. There's never any, people screaming, "There's 2 minutes on the clock. What are we doing?" They've got that down to a really good system. Things that really stood out was obviously, making a big move up on day 2 for Nick Imanori that, they haven't been known for trading up a lot. And, as I mentioned that story and has been reported elsewhere, they were actually talking about moving up in the end of the first round to get Imanori. They really liked him. They saw him as a first round graded player and weren't able to make that trade happen, but were able to get up early in day 2 to get him. But yeah, one of the cooler parts of my job is getting some of that access and seeing a little bit of that, how that goes down behind the scenes.
John, it was really interesting to read that portion you mentioned about the Jalen Milroe pick and the thing that happened right before it, where you mentioned that Mike McDonald stepped out of the room to make a phone call, and you said afterwards you learned it was to Sam Darnold. What did you think that set the tone for? Why was that important to have that moment where the coach steps out and calls the guy who they had just brought in as the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I just think people are going to talk, and I mean, they can tell Sam Darnold, that he's their guy, and they have, I'm sure, but publicly there's going to be a lot of buzz when you draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, and especially a quarterback who was a star at Alabama. This isn't some random small school guy in the late round. I mean, Jalen Milroe is a big deal in football circles. So it's just to sort of reassure your quarterback, like, hey, you're our guy, but we also really like this guy. He's a tremendous athlete and great kid, and we see value in the 3rd round. And Sam understands that. He was asked about that the other day, and, he's like, I like the pick. I mean, he's, a great guy. He fits in great. He's just a tremendous athlete that they feel like will have ways to help the team immediately, even if he's not playing a lot of quarterback, just finding ways maybe to get some little packages to take advantage of his athletic ability. But yeah, I think that's just given the high profile nature of that position, given that, they've just brought Sam Darnold in, I think it just makes sense to say, hey, we're going to give him a heads up and just say, this is happening. Don't, just so you're not caught off guard by it and seeing it on TV for the first time.
Hey, John, I was on a show, a national show, XM, I think it's Moving the Chains. It was Pat Kerwin and Jim Miller yesterday or 2 days ago, and they were asking me about the whole thing with, my God, Sam Darnold threw an interception in practice. Oh, my God. I mean, what are we going to do? And just the panic and everything over it. And they're both football guys. And Pat Kerwin, has been around the league for a long time. He's like, what in the hell's going on up there, man? But, yeah, I mean, that just, it's kind of funny how that sort of made the news. I've never heard news come out of an OTA, especially for something like that. But just in general, what have you noticed out at the OTAs, and how much progress has the team made with the rookies here?
Yeah, I mean, look, the offense is going to probably take a little time to really hit their stride. You got new scheme with new coaches, and you've got a new quarterback. He's never thrown to these receivers, so it's not going to be perfect early. But I did find kind of comical what a big story it was that it just so happened that it was, it's the first OTA that media was at, and it just happened to be on the sideline, like going to the end zone where the media was all hanging out. Like, he made a lot of great throws that day too, but those couple interceptions everyone made note of, and because it's a slow time of year in the NFL, it blows up and national sites pick it up and write stories on it. It just becomes this huge story. But I found it kind of amusing, and I'm glad Mike McDonald shot it down pretty quickly when asked on your station about, could there be a competition at quarterback? And like, Sam's their guy. They have a lot of faith in him. They loved what he did last year, and they think he's going to really thrive in this scheme that they also think is going to really complement the quarterback by what they plan to do in the running game. So, yeah, I mean, again, the offense, I think it's going to take, all off season, and, they'll have to get it worked out as the season gets going. But they really love what Clint Kubiak's bringing in and kind of the attitude they're trying to instill with that run game.
John, I know it's tough, especially with the offensive line in an OTA session, to learn really anything with the on-field work, but you guys did get to talk to Abe Lucas afterwards. What did you take away from talking with him, learning about his offseason and what their goal is as an offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, given how little you can read into these kind of non-contact, early June practices, I almost feel like I took more out of what we heard from Abe Lucas than anything we saw on the field. Just the way he talked about, they are, they're not necessarily going to try to do a lot of things, but they're going to be elite at the things they do, and that starts with running the ball. He used a phrase that, running the ball is non-negotiable in this offense. I mean, every team says every year they want to run the ball, but you can just get an early sense that the commitment to it is very real, and it's going to be, they went out and drafted a fullback. That's, you don't do that if you're not planning on really running the ball. I thought it was interesting. I talked to Jaron Reed last week during OTAs, and he brought up, he's like, you can sense the physicality of these guys. And I'm like, really? Like, you don't have pads on, you're not hitting. And he's like, yeah, but it's just the way they come off the ball, the intention of it. Like, he could tell that, like, there's a different attitude, mentality of this offensive line, even going against them in what at the time was late May.
Yeah. Hey, one of the guys that stood out to me, John, just watching him coach, John Benton, JB. And I heard him. He sounded like a throwback coach. I was like thinking, man, this sounds like a guy from my era, because there was a couple of times. And look, I mean,
I think he was coaching in your era, maybe.
Well, that's true.
He's been in this league a long time.
Yeah, he's been coaching for something like 35 years, but he's been, I think, in the league for 19. And yeah, I wish I was playing 19 years ago, but
hey, I'm trying to help you out here.
Yeah, but I mean, you hear him just being he's very blunt. His approach, like, it's kind of like Mike McDonald. I mean, Mike is, and it's not like he's a jerk about it, but like he just is. Mike is very matter of fact, and I heard a lot of that from JB. I mean, he was like over there going, "Oh, that's not even close," or "No, that's wrong." This and that. I mean, he's really particular, and it just, even though they're not in pads, because that's what Mike McDonald keeps saying is that, look, we're not really going to know much about the run game until we get in pads, which I love hearing that, but also just it just seems like he is really on top of it, and it's an old school thing they're trying to do, and he is very old school with his message.
Yeah, it's funny. I like how you mentioned kind of the Mike McDonald comparison, because I have noticed that even though, this whole offensive staff, these aren't guys Mike's worked with. He didn't really have much of a relationship with them, but, they're Clint Kubiak guys, and Clint brought his guys over. But they all, whether you're talking about Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison, John Metten, they all do kind of match Mike McDonald in that, like, pretty serious, they're not goofing around on the practice field. They're just kind of serious football guys who have sort of that no-nonsense attitude about them. I think it's going to be a really good fit, both in terms of coaching style, but also just philosophically what they want that offense to be and how it's going to complement the defense. I just think that, I know people are concerned about the changes made personnel-wise, and you moved on from some really good players, but I do think what's maybe getting a little underlooked is how much better this offensive scheme and what they're doing is going to fit what they want to do overall as a team.
I would encourage our listeners to go look up the headshot of John Benton, the offensive line coach, because we looked at it today, and Cameron Van Til, who writes for us on the website, he was like, "That's what you want your offensive line coach to look like." And I'm like, "That's right." He looks like he's been in the league. He's put some mileage on, and he just seems like a great character.
Yeah, for sure. I really like these hires that, bringing in, kind of creating that as much continuity as you can have with the new offensive. Like, Clint's going to come teach a system he knows. He's going to bring in the guys that help him teach it, that know exactly how it's going to be. So even though it is a new system with a new quarterback, I think they're going to be able to kind of ease the transition by having so many people on the same page.
John, we talked so much about the offense because of all the changes. What about on defense? It feels like it's very settled, but are there any questions you have, anything you still want to see out of this defense by the time minicamp ends next week?
Yeah, I mean, not so much what we want to see by the end of minicamp, but I think some of the biggest questions are, how are they going to use Nick Emanwari? We talked about him being a guy they love, and he's such a unique athlete given the size and speed and the different ways they might use him. So it's going to be fun to see sort of how that role develops. I don't think we'll really know what it's going to look like till the regular season, because if you have a guy that's kind of this unique player that you can move around, you're not going to show that until you have to. And then, another guy that's really intrigued me is Byron Murphy. He's, it was a quiet rookie season for a first-round pick in terms of production and stats, but if you talk to coaches, they love what they saw out of him. He was doing what they were asking of him, and now I think we're going to see him maybe expand his role and be a guy that can maybe rush the passer a little more and do some of the stuff that will make him show up a little more on the stat sheet. But I think that's a guy that, had a solid rookie season, but I could see him really taking a big leap in year two.
We're talking to John Boyle from Seahawks.com. And John, the other thing we'll get to here is the top 50. And I thought it was awesome. I really loved, and particularly, you got Jake, Joe, and Jeff in there. Jeff Bryant, Jacob Green, Joe Nash. Yeah, and and I think also the same thing on the other side of the ball during that era. You had Brian Millard and Pearl Bailey, Edwin, and I just thought every era was addressed, and that really made me happy. Seeing like Rufus Porter from when I was there, Fred Young, and I thought the whole thing really like played out really well. Like the receivers, it went from like Largent to I think D-Jack and then, you got into the Doug Baldwin, and then, I mean, it was just like they Brian Blades. You covered sort of the entire scope of the history of this franchise.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I was lucky enough to be a little bit of a part of that process, and it was, I think it was important to have some people who are involved that, have knowledge of the team beyond what myself or anyone my age or younger does. Like, I don't remember those 80s and 70s teams very well. So we did have some people who've, been around a long time who remember those teams, who could speak to some of the guys, like you said, an Edwin Bailey or, a Jeff Bryant, who was a really good player. But Keith, I mean, just a lot of these guys that, obviously the Super Bowl team in 2005 and then the Super Bowl winning team are going to be really heavily represented because those were great teams. But it was important to kind of touch all those different eras. And and honor really all 50 years of Seahawks history and not just the teams we remember, from the recent years. But obviously, you win a Super Bowl, you're going to have a lot of guys on that team. I think there were 13 of them that made the team from the Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Well, John, this show is boycotting that list because of the horrendous omission of no Dave Wyman. But outside of that, no, we were curious.
No, I would have been embarrassed if
I know you would have been. We wanted you on there.
Just didn't quite have the stats, but no, I mean, like, can you imagine if Lofa didn't make it and I did? I mean, that would
in
just
addition
be
to them.
I mean, I would be embarrassed. Yeah,
that was like a guy like Steve Rabel. Like, we all think of him as such a legend because he's such an important part of this franchise and the voice of the team. And we're like, oh, is he in the conversation? And it's like, well, as much as we all love Steve, we'll honor him when we talk about the broadcast.
John, we were curious.
You too, Dave.
I hear you.
Smart. We'll have our own honor for the Seahawks radio broadcast crew.
There you go.
John, we were curious about the positional breakdown because it is the top 50 of all time, but you guys had the voting by position groups. Was that to kind of space it out? I'm not sure if there was, criteria of, hey,
there was no mandate of like we need. I mean, as you saw, there's no tight ends and there's no kickers on it, so it wasn't we weren't trying to build a 53-man roster. It wasn't trying to do even by position. It was really, that was just a way to make the voting a little smoother. Like, we'll open the voting on this position this day. But yeah, I was really just trying to capture the top 50 players. And I know, look, there's no perfect list. There's going to be guys that, maybe some people would put on over other guys and that are upset that got left off or whatever. And I get that. Like, but that's kind of the fun of these things too. It creates some discussion and it's a fun exercise, but it's also, I know, from seeing some of the players we have, we're putting out videos of guys being told the news, and it's meaningful for these guys. It's cool to see them, I don't think Bobby Wagner was a real surprise, but some of the guys, they didn't know. I mean, I don't know if it's even out yet, so I might just be doing a tease, but the video where John Ryan finds out, like, he gets a little emotional about it. He wondered about it and he really didn't know. So it's cool to see those guys who, it really means so much for them.
Yeah. The guy we called Boogie, Jeff Bryant.
Yeah.
I texted him and just congratulating him. And I was telling him and Joe and Jake how much those guys, I called them the regulators back in the day, because they, like, if you went against Jake, Joe, and Jeff, you were not going to be on the team very long. I mean, they kind of ran the culture there, and I got a similar type of text from Jeff Bryant. Like, it was all in all caps, and he was just so thrilled to be part of it. So, what's going to be the next step for that top 50? It's probably somewhere that I haven't read, but is there going to be a big announcement? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I think I don't know the details yet. I don't even know if anybody internally knows the details, but there are plans to honor them during the season. They'll do, they'll honor them at a game. I'm sure they'll make a weekend of it. So yeah, there's going to be probably try to get everybody out here that they can. I mean, I don't think Bobby Wagner or Russell Wilson are going to be able to make it because they're busy, but otherwise, I think they're going to try to get every living member of that team out here and honor them. Get them all together. It'd be a really fun time to get a lot of those people together, kind of crossing eras.
Well, John, we really appreciate it. John Boyle's been with us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. We really appreciate your time, man. Great job, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There he goes, John Boyle, and that was an interesting conversation. He's got a lot going on down there, man. I mean, he had the whole thing with the draft. He's got the OTAs. Somehow there's news coming out of the OTAs.
That was probably unexpected, yeah. There'd be something nationally newsworthy.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Everyone's picked it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rich Eisen show, they had a couple of clips that they played from our station, and McDonald had to address it. So that talks about the totality of the NFL, though, that people are desperate for any kind of information about the NFL all year round, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been anything that's come out of OTAs that I remember. I mean, I think one year they might have gotten fined because they had some collisions and stuff like that. But other than that, it speaks to the excitement around this team. And, and some of I think it's always kind of cool to have the mystery, like you don't know what the rookies are going to do. You really don't. And, I always say the draft is kind of a crapshoot, and there's guys that will emerge and, that are late round draft choices, and then there will be some guys that drop off. But, it just speaks to the NFL, and it's just a monster. But, earlier we were talking about Abe Lucas, and, the question you have here, Mike, what can a true commitment to the run game look like for this team? I think it's going to be a lot different, it seems like. I mean, with Abe Lucas, he was just talking about how, a little bit, and not to sit there and dump on, whatever somebody's offensive scheme. Obviously, if they made it into the NFL, it works. But just whether it makes sense or not at this level. And Abe Lucas talked about how the identity has really changed for this offense in a very short period of time.
I mean, we're just more so when you get a new staff in, everybody wants to run the ball, but when it kind of, you come in and it's kind of a non-negotiable, we're running the ball, we put a fullback in the backfield, we're changing it up. We're doing things differently, It's like an old school mentality with a new school principle sort of thing. So, yeah, definitely just looking forward to getting after that.
That was always a concern with Ryan Grubb, right? The fear that coming from college where he had a pass-happy offense that he wouldn't want to or couldn't fully blend in the run game. And he dismissed it. It was like, yeah, sure, I'll run the ball. I had great receivers, and he did at UW, so I was going to pass the ball. But it never felt like it was natural for him. And hearing that, it seems like this is at the forefront, the non-negotiable that you had mentioned, and John Boyle mentioned when he was on with us, that this offensive staff is coming in saying, well, no, it's not just a wrinkle or a side effect of our offense. It is a full feature of how we're going to attack these teams.
Right. Yeah. No, it's the commitment, and you just got it kind of verbally from Grubb. And again, not to trash him. he's a good coach. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made it into the NFL. But just, understanding how important that is. And you got some guys that have been around, like we mentioned, the offensive line coach being in the league for 19 years. So, yeah, I liked that. And again, Abe Lucas, so thoughtful and so smart, he just was able to, encapsulate that whole attitude that it's non-negotiable. We have to run the ball. He also talked about the biggest difference from this year and last year as far as the offensive scheme goes.
I would just say, or I guess I'll put it like this, we're trying to be elite at very few things, but those few things are, what the offense is going to be based around, and that's the run game. We're going to be elite at the run game. That's the philosophy with it. So, it's not some, hodgepodge of just a bunch of different stuff we're just throwing in, We're going to be elite at the basics and make sure that they work so we can do it against anybody.
I've been asked about, what do you see down there? And whenever it comes to the run game, I'm like, oh, they're in shorts. And even Kubiak said this. We're out there and are running around in our underwear, And he's kind of a, short answer, kind of almost comes off as like a grumpy guy that, that's just an old school. His dad wasn't that way. Gary Kubiak.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But, yeah, and I love it, man. I love it. He was asked at one point, what's it like? What about the offensive line? And how's it looking? He's like, it's wide open, brother.
Yeah, this is because it's the right guard specifically, and you're right. This was the abrupt answer.
Right guard with 5 practices in, it's wide open, brother.
And then that was it, right? That was the extent of the answer.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So, yeah, and then Abe Lucas also, we've been talking a lot about their offensive line coach, John Benton. He chimed in on what stands out about his new coach.
I think the first thing that sticks out is experience, obviously. He's been everywhere, coached a lot of people, so really that's the main thing. He's just a wealth of knowledge, so I'm looking forward to learning from him more.
Yeah, so, it's cool to hear that. But what I was going to say is, typically I wouldn't have seen that much from what the run game is going to look like because they're not in pads. But it's just different. The way that they are being coached and all of the things that they always, go back to McDonald. He sees himself as a teacher. And really, that's what he is, and that's what's going on out there on the field. So it's not so necessarily so much the physical part, for sure, right now, but what they're doing right now, you can see your way clear to, okay, I see how this is going to work when they get pads on. Now, I'm really excited to see when camp starts and just see how physical they're going to be and how they're able to run that. But of all the off seasons, as far as making a change and working on the run game in just shorts and jerseys, it really stood out to me. So yeah, it's to me, I think it's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to watch. Probably the one thing, as much as we talk about Sam Darnold and his how his career has gone. That's going to be interesting. But, I mean, I really think watching that run game is really going to be interesting this summer when they get padded up. Hey, there's one area where Cooper Kupp figures to be an upgrade over anyone else on the roster. That's up next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefko.
Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald, exclusively with Brock and Salk.
Your cohort, Mr. Schneider, talked a lot this offseason about pivoting. How was all of that?
It's kind of how we operate. You're looking at the lens of what we're trying to build, what's going to be best for us. I know it seemed like a lot, but we had time kind of behind the scenes here. And I thought we ended up with a team we're really excited about, and the guys that are here are fired up for.
Watch the full conversation on the Seattle Sports YouTube page or get the podcast on the Seattle Sports app.
It's Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors. They're a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. And when you hear Harley Exteriors, I want you to think windows, manufactured right here in Washington, specifically designed for our Pacific Northwest homes and climate. And Olympic Series windows are offered exclusively by Harley Exteriors. And this is the window you want. It looks absolutely stunning and much better than a traditional vinyl window. And these windows they last up to 60 years. And they're going to lower your energy bills and provide year-round comfort. They also come with a double lifetime, fully transferable warranty in case you sell your home. And that means not only are you covered for glass breakage or damaged seals, it's going to help your resale and the value of your home. It's very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And this June, buy 3 windows and get 1 free, plus an additional $200 off your entire project. So think Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in the Puget Sound. Call 833-HARLEY. That's 833-HARLEY. Or you can just go to harleyexteriors.com.
Big Trees is Washington's premier tree sales and transplant company. With over 30 years of experience, Big Trees provides trees of all sizes for residential and commercial projects. Our 30-acre nursery features thousands of trees and hundreds of varieties that thrive in our Pacific Northwest climate. For hours, directions, and to see our wide selection of trees, visit BigTreeSupply.com.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
I'm Chris Davis, former King County prosecutor and founder of the Davis Law Group in Seattle. If you've been injured in a crash caused by impaired or drunk drivers, there are special considerations that need to be taken to protect your legal rights. Davis Law Group's team of investigators and lawyers know how to properly investigate DUI crashes and identify all parties who might be legally responsible for your injuries and damages. Call Davis Law Group at 206-888-8888 or get my free book at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely, and you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
The perfect Father's Day gift. Time. This year, take Dad to LeMay, America's Car Museum, to explore 100 years of rare and luxurious vehicles and get your adrenaline rush in the racing simulators. Fun for all. Visit americascarmuseum.org today.
The home of the Mariners.
One hopper snared at short. On a quick hop by J.P. Crawford. That guy's a magician over there at shortstop.
Seattle Sports.
Download the Seattle Sports app.
Experience the thrill of a lifetime this summer with a share of $320,000 in prizes. We're making waves every Saturday in June from 3 to 10 p.m. with double winners every hour. Come one, come all to the Coastal Carnival of Cash. Claim one free daily entry. Don't forget, your Reef Rewards card can save you up to 25 cents per gallon at Lummi Bay Market next to Silver Reef. Silver Reef Casino Resort, located off I-5 exit 260.
Spring is back. Our bats are back. Is your postnasal drip and congestion back as well? Hi, this is Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. We are a proud national center of excellence for helping hundreds of patients with Rynair. For those of you sick of searching for another allergy medication, Rynair is a minimally invasive procedure that significantly reduces postnasal drip, congestion, and stuffiness after only one treatment. Come see us in Auburn or Federal Way. Book your appointment at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Right now, get a $15 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro refrigerant products at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob. I want to thank our guy John Boyle for his time. That was interesting to hear all that stuff, especially for me, the top 50 stuff. And I was just so thrilled that there were guys from my era that made it, like Kurt Warner and Dave Craig, I guess, also.
Who we need to try to have on early next week.
We got to get Dave on. Bob instructed me, do not have Dave Craig on a day when I'm off. So, but we'll get Dave Craig on.
I mean, I would agree because we need Bob in here for that. We also need 2 people monitoring the dump button when Dave Craig's here. So, yeah, let's wait till we're back at full strength there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. How important is it for Darnold to build up the connection and familiarity with his wide receivers during this offseason? I mean, it's everything. Especially a guy like Cooper Kupp, Mike, that, you always hear about him that, some of the descriptions are kind of like Steve Largent, like the way that he runs his routes. And earlier, I think it was last week, I said, I think that Cooper Kupp is a better football player than DK Metcalf in that I think he understands the game. I'm not saying that DK is like a one-trick pony or anything, and you're not going to hear me say anything negative about DK. I like DK, and I just, especially from my standpoint, when I interviewed him, every time yes, sir, and he's just very respectful guy, and he never complained about targets and things like that. But yeah, for Sam Darnold to come in and get that connection with MVS and JSN and then, Cooper Kupp, I think it's going to be really kind of interesting. And he talked a little bit about the connection and how that's going with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I think that's just it with any receiver. It's getting to know kind of their body language and kind of how they're running routes, and then being able to talk to him, on and off the field, be able to, know what he's thinking in a route or versus, a certain coverage. Trying to get behind the linebacker, or maybe he's going to throttle it down, like just little details like that. It's been great not only to talk to Coop about that kind of stuff, but all the guys.
You know what I do like, Dave, is that it's kind of all new together for everyone. For everyone on the offense, because there is so much turnover, and especially after kind of hearing some of those comments from DK after he left. And again, this is not to criticize DK as a player, but there are a lot of differences between personality types of a Cooper Kupp or a DK Metcalf. And to kind of hear that he had some lingering frustration with Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb of, he said it. He goes, well, we felt like outsiders, the Pete holdovers. So there was, some resistance of kind of getting a new coach that he was very loyal to Pete Carroll, understandably so, because Pete Carroll loved him. He went out and, he took him early on when DK was coming off that pretty serious injury. But if you would have had another new quarterback, and then all of a sudden there are some guys who had been with the previous regime and then some who hadn't. Now you get a clean slate for everyone. All new receivers, new quarterback, new offensive staff, so you learn it together. And this is where I think that cohesion can be a lot better than if you would have had, all right, well, you have 2 receivers and maybe another guy still here, but this staff's new and this quarterback's new. So I'm excited for that. And the one thing that I'll kind of jump ahead here, Dave, because it really jumped out to me, and this is kind of where I formed my whole opinion on, was Clint Kubiak talking about how much of a leader and what he's seen already out of Cooper Kupp.
Stands most about him is very similar to what I said about Jalen, is just his work ethic. He's in there early, he's staying late, asking a lot of great questions, and then he just leads by example right now. He's in there early with the quarterbacks, and it's hard to get him out of the building. He wants to be great, and then all his tangibles and intangibles are rubbing off on the younger guys.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of it's kind of like Cal, and Bob always says you can wedge a comparison to Cal Raleigh.
Yeah. Well done.
But you see how Cal is always talking to his pitchers, and always having conversations, just trying to figure out what they're thinking and everything, and and this is what's going on right now, and I think it'll be really cool to see how that bond develops between him and Darnold. But I mean, look, you look at Cooper Kupp's numbers. I mean, he had that one year was ridiculous, where he had 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. Now that was 2021, so we're going to get maybe a little bit of a different version there. But when your game isn't about speed and size and strength and all that, it's more about just how to run a route. And he kind of brought out, I think it was Kubiak there, that said something about how he kind of chokes it down, when you get to a zone, or do you try to beat the linebacker over the top? And those are things that they're going to have to develop and that they're going to, get together on. But Cooper Kupp, I think in that room, even a guy like JSN is going to be learning from him, about all the different ways to how to get open. And Steve Largent was just the master of that, because he, physically, and if you ever see him in person, he's just a regular, normal-sized human being. He's just not even that fast. I mean, I think I could outrun Steve Largent, but I couldn't cover him. There's no way. I mean, he probably ran a 4.7, and so yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops with those two.
Well, and it really feels like there's a big leadership void on this offense. It's not to say someone won't step up, and it's not to say they don't have good players, but when you lose so many veterans in one offseason, a mainstay like Tyler Lockett, who was such a presence in there, and then DK Metcalf, who had become one of the longest tenured players on offense as well. Geno Smith, he hadn't been a starter for a number of years, but he had been there. So you lose 3 guys that have been a core piece of this offensive identity. You need a veteran leader. That's just end of story. Whatever team you're on, whatever group, whatever sport it is, you need a veteran to have that leadership role and a mentoring role, like you said, that Kupp could have with JSN. So while JSN might be your best player on offense and he's going to be your best receiver, what Cooper Kupp can bring to that team is so invaluable. Just even if he is not the guy who's necessarily going up to everyone individually, and it sounds like he is, but the work ethic, what Clint Kubiak said of JSN is so good, but he's still new to the league. He's just been here a few years. If he's watching Cooper Kupp do all these things like all these guys used to do with Tyler Lockett, and all of a sudden it becomes ingrained in him, or a new offensive lineman or a tight end, whoever it is, there's watching Cooper Kupp go about what he does. I think he can gain so much. And Darnold as a quarterback, you would expect him to be the leader, but to have another guy like Kupp in there as well gives you a huge edge now going into this season.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the defense that, at the end of the year, it worked. And, I'm looking at some of the leaders on that side, and we talked to one the other day, Julian Love, just an amazing guy. But then also Jaron Reed, I always think he gets a little bit undersold, of his leadership and the kind of player he is. And I've always said this, that, and I heard this from one of the security guys, believe it or not. He's been around the NFL for a really long time. And he said, on defense, you need some goons, I mean, some guys that were, and I kind of identify as that, a guy that's probably going to get in a fight or maybe get a fine or whatever, but he's fighting for his team. And, you got Jay Reed, you got Ernest Jones at the linebacker spot, I think is going to be really valuable. But, Yeah, I mean, you're right with DK and Gino and Lockett gone. I mean, those guys were kind of the core, but we've got a new core here, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out on the offensive side. But I don't worry about the defensive side. I don't worry about the leadership there, because you also have Big Cat. You've got a guy like Uchenna, who is an incredible leader. So, yeah, that kind of stuff really does matter. Hey, if you missed any of our show, or you just want to go watch things again, check out our Wyman and Bob channel on the Seattle Sports YouTube page and search for Seattle Sports on all social media platforms to find segments like our conversations with Seahawks players, Mariners players, and much more. All right, Mike, coming up next, two of our favorite interviews also made our WHYMAN this week. You'll hear what we're talking about. That's next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's not good.
Back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of 3 against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Yeah, I have a ton of really memorable customers. One of my favorite customers I've ever had, he came in and had a really bad experience with several different dealerships. He just lost his husband. His husband left him with a truck, and he was like, I don't need a truck. Like, this is so impractical for me. And it was a really emotional decision for him, because it was one of the last things that he had, obviously husbands. We were like, it's no problem. Like, we're going to help you. And we did the process the same way that we always do the process. And we helped him trade in his truck for a beautiful new Rogue. And that was really cool. And he bought his second car from us. And I'm sure when he needs a third car, he'll come back and buy his third car from Nissan too. Afterwards, to thank us, he sent us this beautiful basket of like candies and fruits and stuff.
Making a great day for the people around you is making a great day for yourself. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Get 0% financing for 72 months on Cat compact construction equipment at NC Machinery. Built for performance, durability, and comfort. Buy now and take advantage of 0% financing for 72 months at NC Machinery.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we offer premium windows that are 25% more energy efficient, reduce noise by 50%, and come with clean glass technology. And Leak Armor installation gives you a lifetime warranty to protect your home. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
This Father's Day weekend, take Dad out to a ball game at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners are squaring off against the Guardians June 13th through 15th, and the weekend is jam-packed with can't-miss events. The fun gets started Friday the 13th with Sing-Along Fireworks Night presented by T-Mobile, followed up by a Steelheads Cap giveaway Saturday the 14th. Then on Father's Day, Sunday the 15th, the first 10,000 dads will score a pair of socks thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Get your tickets today at Mariners.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The home of the Mariners.
It is gone! two-run home run.
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Synthetic Turf Northwest is now open in Fife, the South Sound headquarters for premium synthetic turf. They help homeowners with a turnkey solution, DIYers, and contractors and landscapers needing quality products. With premium turf in stock, expert advice, and pro installation services, everything you need is under one roof. Visit their new showroom off I-5 in Fife, Synthetic Turf Northwest. Supplies and installation expertise all in one place. Mention radio for up to $1,000 off. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com.
You know what's faster than your paycheck? Literally everything. It's time to get your pay up to speed. With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors available in select states. Expedited transfer is available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
Guys, tired all the time? Gaining weight? Low drive? These aren't just signs of aging. They could be low testosterone or other underlying issues. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Men's Health in Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, cholesterol, kidney, liver, thyroid, and heart health. No guessing, just answers. Over 100,000 men have trusted Revive to get real results. More energy, better sleep, improved mood, and confidence that shows. If something feels off, don't wait. Take control and protect your long-term health by knowing your numbers. This offer ends June 30th. Schedule your free comprehensive wellness panel today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Feel better, live stronger. Start now.
Why, man? Why?
Lunch has been canceled today due to lack of hustle. Deal with it.
He's a habitual line stepper.
What were you thinking? What are you doing?
Why are you the way that you are?
It's the Why Man of the Week.
WHYMAN is presented by Mazda of Everett. All right, do I set these up, Mike? I've only done this 9,000 times.
Yeah, Dave was confused by the segment, Matt. He goes, "Hey, what do we do here?
What do we do here?"
Yeah.
It's named after you.
Well, you know what's funny is I usually don't pay attention to the show.
You don't say.
Oh, that explains a lot. And now a whole flood of new mean texts are coming in.
I just sit over here and pop off. That's all I do. Yeah, Logan, I'll tell you what, this is one of the more entertaining things I've seen. Like, they try to do all these little off the field type of things with, and the Mariners do a really good job. But this whole thing with the Logan and Cal lie detector test is hilarious, especially if you know Logan and Cal. And we recommended to Matt to go watch the whole thing. I think you saw clips of it, Matt. But man, it was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, we'll play it. You want to set up this clip, or I'll do the specific one.
I thought I just did that.
Well, no, this is a specific one. I mean, we're not going to play the whole 11 minutes. This one specifically is Logan being asked about Cal if he was the best catcher that he's ever had.
Am I the best catcher you've ever had?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I knew this thing's right.
You're the worst. Are you kidding me?
This thing does work.
Yeah. You're the worst.
Shout out Murph.
Our friendship's over after this thing.
That's why it does help to have the visual of it. I mean, we can understand there. So they're all looking at the guy. The lie detector guy says thumbs down that Logan was lying about Cal being the best catcher he's ever had. And then you get that back and forth. Tom Murphy shout out in there too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there he goes. I thought Murph was the one that called him Walter in the beginning, but he said that was not the case. And by the way, Logan Gilbert gave me license to make up whatever story I wanted about that. Because he remember that at the
he
interview?
redeemed you after it was kind of dismissed.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that whole thing is, I think it's like 15 to 20 minutes long. It's hilarious, man. They have this guy, and then Logan is kind of the star of the show. Like, he's really grilling the lie detector guy. Like, do you have a website? Are you legit? And then he's like, is somebody pushing a button in here? I mean, the whole thing is hilarious. But yeah, they ask these really personal questions. And, it's funny. We heard that they were roommates early on, and they kind of butt heads a little bit early on in their career when I think they were in the minors together, and and then all of a sudden they become best friends. But it's also hilarious talking to those two guys about being roommates, because remember one time Cal told us that Logan went and bought a ukulele and he was playing it, and I was like, "Did you want to smash that over his head?" He said, "Yes." Oh, I wanted to just smash that thing over his head so bad because he wouldn't stop playing. But all right. Also, in the next WHYMAN number 2, Paul Skeens shouldn't be a Cy Young frontrunner because of his poor win-loss record, according to Harold Reynolds.
Up there on that list.
He's a front runner for the National League Cy Young. Huh?
You're not a fan of that?
No, I hadn't thought of it that way.
He's got a losing record. He's 4-5.
Yeah, that's what I've been focusing on. Yamamoto's the front runner for me.
His last one was a clunker.
That's all right. But he's been incredible all season long. Incredible. And
Skeens has more innings, lower ERA.
Yeah.
Same number of strikeouts, fewer walks.
Then win one night. I just think you got to win games.
Oh, come on. You're going to hold the Pirates lineup over Paul Skeens' head? That's like saying Logan Webb, be better. Logan Webb went 8 innings. He's better last night, right? Shut out baseball, and he left the game. It's still 0-0. It's not his fault.
So what if he's 4-18 at the end of the year? You give him the Cy Young.
If he has a sub-2 ERA? Oh, if he has a sub-2 ERA. Hell yeah. And he has close to 200 innings pitched, they'll be engraving his name at the end of the year. Yeah.
I love Greg Amsinger there. Just completely incredulous and befuddled by Harold Reynolds, and rightfully so. It's kind of embarrassing. I mean, he's not a pitcher, but you need to be up to date on any kind of basic relevant knowledge about how pitchers are judged. And it's not even relevant, I guess, because we have the example here that Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young and his win-loss record wasn't great, because that's not what matters. And Paul Skeens' numbers are undeniably the best in the National League. You can go through any category, and if you sort it by leagues, which that's how the Cy Young's awarded, there's an AL Cy Young and an NL Cy Young. Paul Skeens is dominant in every category that matters for a pitcher in the National League. So to say that, it's really kind of baffling. And I mean, Harold Reynolds, I think, was joking at first when he doubled down on it. So I don't know. Hopefully he's been chastised enough by his fellow hosts there, and he's come around. But yeah.
Well, I remember when we had Goldie on one time, I think we were talking about Bryce Miller, and I was just kind of going through Bryce's stats, and I'm like, yeah, he's 0-2 and this and that. And so Goldie was like, whoa, wait a minute. Are we judging pitchers on win-loss records? And I'm like, okay, let me rephrase that. He pitched in games in which they lost. And he's like, okay, fair enough. But I don't know. I mean, does that mean Harold Reynolds is not a ball knower?
Yes.
You think so,
yeah.
Huh? Not a ball knower.
His knowledge is outdated. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
He's got old knowledge.
I mean, they're throwing everything at him that totally makes sense. If he's sub-2 ERA, I mean, you're going to look at his win-loss record.
Yeah, he's got a 2.05 ERA right now.
Especially,
so not sub-2, but it's the best in the National League.
Well, and also it's the Pirates.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of took that as Harold Reynolds just trying to, get on our show, basically. He did that just to be ridiculous and so that people would put him in WHYMAN.
It did get attention. So that's good. If they were like, hey, Harold, be a little inflammatory here. Stir up the pot. Everyone's going to talk about this. This clip will get a lot of attention, which sometimes, hey, people do that. That's the industry nowadays. So maybe it was that. Hopefully it was that, because I would hope that a prominent national voice who talks about baseball doesn't truly think that that's how a pitcher should be judged for a pitching award.
Right.
If it's I don't even know what individual award you would judge on a win-loss record, because why would you hold what the team does against someone else? That would be like saying Cal Raleigh shouldn't have won the Platinum Glove last year because the Mariners didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it totally alludes to the fact that it's the rest of the team that sucks and you're really, really good. And so, yeah, I don't get that. But maybe he is just trying to create a stir there. Yeah. Harold Reynolds is.
But, I mean, a worthy WHYMAN candidate, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no question about it. I just don't – I'll say that, but I'll also say this. I don't believe that Harold Reynolds is not a ball knower. He knows baseball. I mean, I don't support him on this one, but, I mean, are you just going to say, oh, God, this guy's an amateur? He's been doing it for a long time.
Ball knower is a very vague term. So we can get into specifics about his lack of knowledge in one aspect. But yes, he is a prominent voice. He is on MLB Network, so he obviously knows to an extent what he's talking about. He played the game at a high level, but here he's got an opinion that I think is a little outdated.
In this case, I don't know, maybe he just kind of forgot what the record was or whatever, and he was just like, oh, all right, well, now that I've dug myself a hole, I'm just going to keep digging. So, all right, that was WHYMAN, presented by Mazda of Everett. Coming up next, we're going to see if JP, Jon Morosi, has the answers to the problems with this Mariners offense. He joins us next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefkoe.
Brock and Salk.
Coach McDonald, is there anything that could happen other than an injury between now and the beginning of the season that would lead to a different quarterback?
No, it's just a crazy question. There's just not going to, like, Sam's our starting quarterback. I think it's funny that the media is out there for like the first day and all of a sudden they know exactly how good we're going to be and how good all the players are. And it's like, we don't even put on pads yet. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy question.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. Olympic Series windows are offered exclusively by Harley Exteriors, manufactured right here in Washington, specifically designed for our Pacific Northwest homes and climate. This is the window you want. It looks absolutely stunning, much better than a traditional vinyl window, and these windows last up to 60 years. They're going to lower your energy bills and provide year-round comfort. They come with a double lifetime, fully transferable warranty, meaning not only are you covered for glass breaking or damaged seals, it's going to help your resale and home value. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And this June, buy 3 windows and get 1 free, plus an additional $200 off your entire project. Think Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in the Puget Sound. Call 8-333-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a gift from the Home Depot, because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. Upgrade his gear this Father's Day with the Husky Mechanics 270-piece tool set from the Home Depot. Now on special buy for $119, a $695 value. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty here. It's time to turn things up a notch. This summer, don't binge watch shows, binge s'mores by the campfire. Press pause on the podcast and press play on Warm Weather Vibes. Here's your chance to win $10,000 for your ultimate summer. What are you waiting for? Take a shot with 5-Hour Energy and make this summer your best summer ever. Visit 5HEshot.com for full details and rules to enter today. No purchase necessary. Ends June 30th, 2025.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners begin a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim. 5:30 pregame coverage right here on Seattle Sports and a 6:38 first pitch. Bryce Miller set to make his first road start since returning from the IL. The Mariners will face Kyle Hendricks for the first time as an Angel. Meanwhile, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final gets underway in a little under an hour. Edmonton leads the series 1-0, trying to snap a 32-year drought for Canadian teams. And Diamondback starter Corbin Burns will undergo Tommy John surgery. He's in the first year of a 6-year, $210 million contract with Arizona.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is serviced by the Lee Johnson Auto family.
I've never heard a person walk out of the stadium and say, wow, I wish that game would have included more waiting.
He is an endless source of baseball and hockey knowledge.
José de Ríos, el lanzador de Puerto Rico, el Clásico Mundial de Béisbol.
Jon Morosi, every week with Wyman and Bob.
You're being serious with me right now?
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob. It's Dave Wyman and Mike Lefko filling in. Bob's on vacation. The kids are running the show, JP.
You guys are doing great. I know you are. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today.
Well, if we weren't doing great, you would have made us feel better already. Jon Morosi on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. How you doing, JP?
Outstanding. We got a showdown this weekend. The best two teams in baseball here, the Cubs and the Tigers. I didn't have that on my bingo card when the season began, but here we are, early days of June, so should be some good baseball. Skubal on the mound, of course. We know the former Seattle U left-hander, best pitcher in the planet, I would say, right now. Yeah. So should be good baseball here, and I expect the Mariners will right the ship after their tough series there against the Baltimore Orioles.
Hey, JP, before we get into it, you know Harold Reynolds, right?
I know him very well.
Okay, so we just did a WHYMAN thing where he's talking about Paul Skeens shouldn't be a Cy Young frontrunner because of his poor win-loss record. And I don't know, I took it as, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. I know that it's ridiculous and, you know, that you can't judge a pitcher that way. But I'm like, it's Harold Reynolds. And, you know, maybe he's just trying to make a stink or something, but like everybody is, you know, like, okay, he's on the Pirates and I don't know if you heard that or whatever, but I think Harold Reynolds knows baseball. So, I mean, I don't know.
Harold knows ball, but on this matter, I disagree with him.
Yeah.
It is not Paul Skeens' fault.
Right.
The circumstance of the franchise.
He pitches for the Pirates.
Right. And that's not his choice. I would say this, that when you look at the Cy Young Award, the Cy Young Award is for the best pitcher, period.
Right.
That's what the criteria say. It doesn't say best pitcher in a starting role, doesn't say best pitcher on a winning team, doesn't say best pitcher on a team that makes the playoffs, best ace, best anything, aside from best pitcher. That's all the ballot says. So there's no, unless you really believe that a pitcher's win-loss record is the best way of measuring his efficacy, then you should not vote on the win-loss record. We litigated this thoroughly with Felix 15 years ago. Okay, I remember this very, very very vividly, very well, when he was in the conversation, and then you had Sabathia and David Price were also pitching great and for playoff-bound teams, and, of course, Felix wasn't. But Felix deserved it because he was the best pitcher, period.
Yeah, Mike just brought that up. Yeah.
Right. So if in this case, if Skeens at the end of the year is the best, I don't care if his record is 5-20, I would vote for him if I thought he was the best pitcher. Now, again, because think about it. You could, hypothetically, throw 8 innings scoreless every time out and have your closer hypothetically give it up in the 9th inning. And your team could lose every game 1-0, and you would finish the year with 0 wins and 0 earned runs. Does that mean that you had a bad year? So it's again, that's an extreme example, but it illustrates the point that one loss record really does not matter that much. I guess I'll back up a little bit and say that it matters to some degree, but it's in no way. It's probably like the 7th or 8th thing that I look at when I look at numbers. It matters insofar as there is a certain value in a baseball-y, old-school way over the full sweep of a season. So, again, June 6th is a little early to be talking about it. But if you look at it and say, my gosh, this guy is like 19-3 for his team. And he's the way that he pitches, the way that he helps the team get through the second half, those types of things, it's more around the main event. The main event is, for me, depending on how you want to define pitching WAR, which envelops walks and hits per innings pitched, it envelops innings pitched, it envelops ERA, WHIP, ERA, expected OPS, innings, all those things matter way more to me than one loss record. One loss record is somewhere on my card, but it's pretty far down the list.
JP, what's your sense of what this Mariners offense really is? Because we've seen 2 extremes. We've seen April, and then we just saw May, and now the carryover into June. What do you think this Mariners offense could be?
It's interesting, Mike. I looked this up earlier today in anticipation of this conversation and this exact question. And I said, what is this team? And so I looked at the numbers. Interestingly, the Mariners this year have scored 1 run more than the mean runs scored of all teams in Major League Baseball. They are about as average as any team could possibly get in terms of the offensive output, which might be a little bit reassuring. I say this with a question mark to Mariner fans, because they're saying, "Oh my gosh, we're average. This is average. That means there's half the teams are worse than us." Which I'm here to say is yes, that's exactly what a mean means. In fact, or more or less, median mean. We can get into those. Right. I'm not going to relitigate, Algebra 1. But what we can say is that is the result of a pretty good April and a pretty poor May and early days of June. They need to be better than what they were against Baltimore. And yet, if you were to ask me what I think their biggest priority probably needs to be at the deadline, I would still actually answer a starting pitcher, because there's been significant attrition to this point on the rotation, and I'm just a little bit worried about what the rest of the year looks like for the rotation, given what we've already seen. And getting Miller back is great, but I would say that you need to address pitching first, and then do you hope that some combination of your different internal options get better, that Cole Young becomes a more productive player? Williamson probably is not ready to be the everyday third baseman on a division-winning team, if we're being honest right now. They have some areas where they can upgrade. Now, then the good news is that the spots that they hypothetically would need to upgrade are generally easier to handle in season. First base, you could say, maybe even DH, third base, arguably, a corner outfield spot. I mean, there's multiple spots where they could probably improve. The issue is right now that, and I was looking at this pretty thoroughly earlier today, there's not a ton out there right now. There are a handful of teams that are, I think, willing to move or will eventually be willing to move. But oddly enough, even the Orioles haven't quite signaled to the whole world yet that they're ready to move O'Hearn and Mullins. So the supply is short. I think the Mariners have to acknowledge that probably for the next month or so, they're going to have to get by with what they've got and hope there are some internal improvements. But I would say they should be scouting the starting pitching at least as thoroughly as they are the position players, because I look at this picture, and Kirby and Gilbert have both missed enough time that I'm worried more about pitching than anything else.
Hey, JP, we were looking at some of the numbers that have gone down offensively, and there was 3 that stood out to me that didn't go down, and it's all because of one guy. Slug, OPS, and home runs, and Cal he's just been amazing what he's doing. He was responsible for all 3 RBIs yesterday. Any problem with him? And he said, look, he would love to be in the Home Run Derby, and the same thing with the World Baseball Classic. So any problems there? I mean, I guess the WBC would be, a little bit more, certainly more taxing on him that I would think, other than the Home Run Derby. But there has been some guys that complained about the Home Run Derby, how it affected their swing or something. There was somebody a few years ago, I can't remember, but it just, to me, I mean, he should absolutely do the Home Run Derby. I'm not so sure about the WBC, but what do you think?
I would love both. I think both events are wonderful, and there have been players that have, you look back and, whether it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., other guys that have shined in that event that have actually been a good platform for them to achieve even more. Soto obviously has had some good home run derbies as well. So I think that in general, I'm a supporter of the Derby. I understand that there are some that don't love it. But I would also point out, with respect to Cal, you've got the option of being a switch hitter. And Rutschman, of course, had a nice run at his a couple of years ago in Seattle. And again, I think what's happened to Adley is not because of the home run derby in terms of his numbers dipping. But I think that it's a great experience. I think a lot of players have benefited from it tremendously. There's also a financial component to it that's real. Obviously, he's got a nice deal now, and it's not so much a concern probably in that world. But the WBC, I love it, and I think especially there are a lot of players who have spent a long time in the major leagues, and even some that have won World Series and been to the World Series before, who when they retire say that the WBC was their favorite thing that they did, that it meant the most. You're playing for your country. You're playing with the best of the players from your country. I think Cal Raleigh, and again, I can't speak for Mark DeRosa, who's the manager. He's my teammate at the network, but he's. I don't have a spot on the masthead of Team USA. I can text D-Rose suggestions here and there. I don't think he needs me to suggest anything about catcher. I think he knows who the best catcher, at least among the American-born guys, have been. I guess you could say a tandem between Will Smith and Cal. It's probably hard to argue that's some of those. To me, those are the two guys. I love Real Muto as well, but I just think that right now Cal and Will have kind of separated themselves among everybody else. It's just a great experience, and it to me, especially for position players. Now, pitchers, I understand that there are certain teams that are always a little bit wary of their pitchers participating, especially if they go all the way through October. As much as I love the WBC, if someone's pitching Game 7 of the World Series, by just out of general practice, if they say, listen, I'm going to Game 7 of the World Series, I'm pitching on Halloween, I'm probably not the best option to pitch again in a meaningful game on March 7th. I would agree with that. That's probably true. But for position players, they're ready. And they're already in, maybe he would have to catch one or two more innings on his early starts in Peoria in spring to make sure he's ready to go. But spring training starts earlier. I've never heard a position player feeling like the WBC wore them out too much, especially for the guys that get to stay in North America. I mean, the tournament, he would go Arizona spring training, Houston, and then Miami, and then you go back to Peoria. And basically, there have been a great many players who, when the WBC is done, and it's this amazing emotional experience, and you either win it or you lose it, and you're there in the final game, and there's confetti everywhere, and they've crowned a world champion, and you look at your watch and it says March 21st, and you're like, do I really have to go back to spring training for 10 more days after this? This is like the apex of my year. And now it's, you got a B game on the backfields against the Royals AAA team in Surprise. You're like, oh no, that's so. Believe me, the guys that are in it, they love it, and they are not wishing that they're back at spring training when they're playing it.
JP, getting back to what you mentioned about starting pitching for the Mariners, what type of starter are you talking about here? Not a big name, obviously, right? Because it seems like their big prospects and their big trade deadline move might have to be for a bat. But are you talking about a guy like a Tyler Anderson, like they brought in 2021, or someone that you think would be here for multiple years that they would get at the deadline?
I think optimally, just based on the price tag, you're probably looking at more of that rental type, someone who's on an expiring contract. One name and one team that I'll mention that probably hasn't. Actually, I'll mention two of them. Two Zachs. Zach Littell of the Rays. The Rays are almost always up for moving a pending free agent. Savali comes to mind. They did that a couple years ago. So Zach Littell of Tampa, and then Zach Gallen of Arizona. Now, the Gallen is a little bit more on like peering around the corner and down the street to say what will happen once now Corbin Burns is out for the season and what is the ramifications of that on the rest of the club. The Diamondbacks are in a tough spot now. They've got a lot of money that's being paid to guys that are hurt or not pitching well, and Gallen's now going to be a free agent after the season is over, and so they're in a bit of a quandary here, because either you try to put the accelerator down and make it to the playoffs, or you basically say, you know what, you're in the same division as the Dodgers, Padres, and the Giants. It's probably not your year, if we're just being honest. And so I think that trading Gallen is probably the right call, unless they're going to keep spending. But see, now they're in a really difficult situation. Montgomery was a disaster to this point. Burns is hurt. They need to fill out next year's rotation with existing personnel, unless they're going to go out and spend more. And I'm just not sure that they have the appetite to spend more at this point. So I think, if anything, the Burns news makes a Gallen trade more likely, because they need to, in my opinion, recoup some prospects. And we know this, D-backs and Mariners trade a lot. Mariners and Rays trade a lot.
Yeah.
So whether it's Littell with Tampa or Gallen with the D-backs, Mike, we'll clip this one off on June the 6th. If there's a deal between these teams on July 31, we'll come back to it. If there's not, we'll lose the tape and forget about it forever.
I like that style. There we go.
Hey, real quick, JP, you mentioned it, that they tend to trade with the Diamondbacks and the Rays. Is that just the relationship, basically, between management, or why is that?
Yeah, I think so. Those front offices have known each other for a long time. I think that helps on some level. They also seem just to evaluate players similarly. Obviously, we know in baseball you tend to not trade in the same division all that often. It happens, but it's rarer. And I think that trading out of the division is usually good. Right. And then you want to deal with teams that you seem to value players similarly and have good relationships and good trust. And certainly Jerry has a background with the D-backs from a long time ago, where he was there and knows the organization there very well. So I think that from that standpoint, there's a comfort level that I think would help. It just seems like Jerry and Justin deal well with Arizona, and that group is very, I think, open and collaborative. Mike Hazen, Amiel Sade, really good. Of course, in Tampa, Eric Neander, and he's got a great staff there in general. John Daniels is now helping them out a little bit too in that front office. So I think in general, it's just a bunch of really professional guys that have known each other for a very, very long time. It's interesting this time of year. You go back and look at teams that trade with each other, and Seattle, Tampa, Seattle, Arizona is a frequent matchup. There are those that don't trade that often. Like, I don't think they've done. I was trying to think off the top of my head. Dustin Ackley wound up with the Yankees, but that hasn't often been a matchup, of course. Although Jesus Montero, Michael Pineda. I'm just like going back off the top of my head. You don't see many deals, it seems, with certain particular organizations, but Tampa and Arizona, they do.
John, before we let you go, your thoughts on Lane Lambert, the new head coach of the Kraken?
Yeah, a great background in the game. I think that, listen, it was abrupt, the change after 1 year of Dan Bylsma, and then the news today I saw just moments before we came on the air about further changes to the coaching staff. Lane Lambert's got a really good track record in the game. Obviously, he was hired by the Islanders previously, before Waugh came in there. I just think that the Kraken need to develop a real identity here, and I think Lane might have a bit more of a firmer structure than what they saw through the latter years of Hackstall and through the year of Bilesma. And I think that the Kraken need a little bit of an edge, I think, coming into this year. That they need to be a team that people say they're hard to play against. And obviously goaltending has to get figured out. We've been talking about that since basically period one of game one of the franchise. But they got to be harder to play against. And I think Lane Lambert, in the way that he's gone about his career, his playing career as well, I think we're going to just see a little firmer edge to this team that'll make it a little harder to come into CPA and get a couple points.
JP, have a great weekend. We always love having you on, man, and appreciate the time.
Enjoy, guys. Enjoy the weekend. I know this is the best time of year in one of the most beautiful cities in the world there in Seattle. So enjoy it. All the best, and we'll look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks JP. So much. You too. Thank you.
There he goes, JP Morosi on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Real quick, the 2025, little reminder here, 2025 All-Star ballot is open, and Cal, Julio, JP, and the crew, they need your help to secure a spot at this year's Midsummer Classic in Atlanta. Vote 5 times per day, every day through June 26th at MLB.com/vote. Who's getting in the All-Star game? Sure I am.
Okay. Do I need to show you how to do it?
Cal. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I would love it if you showed me.
We'll
I could figure it out, but it would take like twice as long.
Well, the directions are right there, and then we can make a segment about Dave figuring out those directions. But no, Cal is the only one, probably. In all likelihood. There is no one else, which is not great. I mean, the Mariners have had, 2 All-Stars? Well, they had one replace one. So Munoz kind of replaced Gilbert because he wasn't going to pitch last year. They had 2 All-Stars the year before. Both would be pitchers. You had Kirby and, Castillo in 2023. So to have a position player would be great. But if Cal's the only one, then it's kind of a sign, hey, things have not gone well this season to the expectations of what you thought your starting pitching would be. And that's why I was kind of fascinated by what Morosi said there, that starting pitching, he feels like, is a need for this team. And they almost, he put it as a bigger need than lineup help, which I'm not sure if I would wholeheartedly agree if they're, I think they could address both, that they'd have to address both. I don't know if I would put pitching as a either or. If it comes down to, you're only getting one of these, it's got to be both. But the fact that, the starting pitching, which it's been good, but it's not been overwhelmingly dominant, does kind of put a damper on, this is a team that with Cal having a season like this, you would have thought, you have at least 3 to 4 All-Stars. And I'm just not sure right now. Andres Munoz has been incredible. Managers pick the reliever. So in all likelihood, Munoz will get picked. The problem is we only have his recent kind of outings to go on. He's blown his last 2 saves. So if you just look at the raw numbers, sure, that's going to stand out. He's got, 17 saves. He had not allowed a run until this last weekend. I think he'll get in. That's out of the control of the voting and of the selections. It's kind of managers afterwards kind of round out the relief pitchers. So I would say Munoz probably, Cal definitely.
Well, and that's interesting to me that he said starting pitching, just because I've gone the entire year pretty much assuming that when we get our guys back, when they're healthy and that rotation is intact, you still think that, that JP still thinks that you need to add to starting pitching?
Yeah, I guess
even the success you've had with Emerson Hancock coming up, and then Logan, the other Logan.
Evans.
Evans, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like anywhere near the priority for me anyway. But
if his point is that starting pitching needs to be more closer to dominant, then I get where he's coming from, that Zach Gallen is an upgrade over, Evans or Hancock, or if it's a Kirby and Gilbert not quite back at the level that they had been at, because right now we've seen Kirby build back up, but it hasn't been a George Kirby-like performance that he's had in the past. And Bryce Miller, it's going to be fascinating to see what he does, because now he is healthy. He feels a lot better. That was a great interview that he had with you guys yesterday, because you always learn a lot from Bryce Miller. He's one of the most revealing and insightful pitchers. So to learn that he was just trying to pitch through pain, and not necessarily injury, but trying to pitch through not feeling 100% and realizing I am not functioning at the best that I can. So if that's the case and now he's better, it's going to get back there. But the first start from Bryce Miller was fine, but it wasn't anything great. So you haven't really seen a great outing from a lot of these pitchers this year. You've seen good outings and you've seen needed ones. But if Jon Morosi's thinking, okay, you can get great from a pitcher acquisition, I get that, okay, that's a need in addition to the lineup.
Yeah.
And maybe if we had more time, I would have kind of gone back and forth and said, well, are you saying that pitching and hitting simultaneously both have to be upgraded? Because I think maybe he's going from the default premise of, well, obviously they're going to upgrade somewhere in the lineup. Now pitching is also a need.
Yeah. All right, well, coming up, is there an easy fix for this Mariner offense? We'll dive into that next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefko.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's
Gunnar
not good.
Henderson, back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of 3 against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. Olympic Series windows are offered exclusively by Harley Exteriors, manufactured right here in Washington, specifically designed for our Pacific Northwest homes and climate. This is the window you want. It looks absolutely stunning, much better than a traditional vinyl window, and these windows last up to 60 years. They're going to lower your energy bills and provide year-round comfort. They come with a double lifetime, fully transferable warranty, meaning not only are you covered for glass breaking or damaged seals, it's going to help your resale and home value. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And this June, buy 3 windows and get 1 free, plus an additional $200 off your entire project. Think Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in the Puget Sound. Call 8-333-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
The home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Cal swinging a drive, deep to right field.
Every pitch of every Mariners game is on the Seattle Sports app.
When you have really good leaders, it makes it easy.
Gia arrived at Lee Johnson after 10 years at another dealership.
You know your job, but then you have people who you can rely on to help you with the big stuff that, you need that support from. And I've gotten that every day with my service manager, with our assistant service manager, with even like our GM and our GSM. The way that, we're now on the showroom together, we are so close-knit just as a department. My service manager here, he's always open to like teach you whatever you want to know. He just wants everybody to do good around him, and if somebody wants to learn something, I'm here to do it. And I've never had a service manager like that before. They're really good at promoting from within. That's one thing that I've learned from working here. Is I see people start out as like a lot porter, and then people like work their way all the way up to being a general manager.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your team and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This hour is serviced by the Lee Johnson Auto family.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I learned from Bob, don't start talking until that guy goes, yeah. Okay.
Can you make that sound effect again?
No. Okay. It's a one-timer. I was just telling Matt, I went into a car place today, and there's like a commercial about this, and I think there's like some kind of a radio show where people call in and describe the noise in their car.
Yeah,
and
car
like,
talk. We just explained it to you.
Yeah, Mike, that happened off air. So I'm telling the listeners.
The people out there don't hear the conversations during.
No, I thought you had forgotten the name of the show, so I was reminding you.
No.
Okay.
So, anyways, where was I? So I went into the place today. I think it was like a Jiffy Lube or whatever. And no, it was a Firestone. The guy's like, well, is it making a noise? I go, yeah. He goes, what kind of noise? And I was like, it's a grinding noise, because I didn't want to do it. But then he's like, well, what kind of grinding noise? I'm like, so yeah, that was ridiculous.
So
hopefully I make it home.
Day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're worried you're not gonna make it home?
I am worried that I'm not going to make it home because my engine light came on. My engine light came on, but I think it blinks when it gets real critical. And then I read somewhere on the internet, it must be true, that 50 to 100 miles with the engine light on is where you can get. So it should get me home.
What about in traffic though?
But
Stop and go traffic.
If
on
you
a Friday.
hear that the 520 bridge is clogged because of some jackass in a black car, that would be me.
Is that your biggest nightmare?
Well,
that would be a big night. I would hate that.
I have to say that, like, when something like this happens, I always go to the extreme worst. Like, that would be the extreme worst, that I would have to get my car towed and it would back up everybody and the whole thing. But, yeah, hopefully I make it home.
Okay.
All right.
Should we call you, like, wellness check? I mean, do we need to call you on the way?
No, you'll hear it on, like, the traffic report over on the FM side.
I was about to say, Nate Connors is going to report on it if something goes wrong. I'll hear it on the way home.
Yeah. Think good thoughts. The reason why I'm stalling on this topic, I have no idea what to do right now as far as the Mariners go on, offense especially. And it's so up and down this year. And I know pretty much every year it's kind of like that, but just every year it just feels exclusive to this season. And especially you've got the fact that Cal is having such an unbelievable year. And then for a while there, we thought, Julio was starting to get it right, and I mean, he kind of stopped with that whole, getting jammed inside and then chasing away. And, and then now all of a sudden he's just been very impatient. What was the stat you had, Mike? He swung like at 5.
Oh, yeah. So
pitches.
Zach and I were talking about this. So Zach was tracking it yesterday. Julio swung at 9 straight pitches. between his 2 at-bats in the first and third inning.
Right.
Not just, 9 strikes, or just 9 straight swings. 9 pitches he saw, all were swings. So there's a lot of impatience right now, and not just from Julio, but in this Mariners lineup. And that's really been the issue when you talk about the 2 extremes of April being so good, and for a team that led the majors in walks, and their walk rate was up there as well. Stolen bases because they were getting on base. Now the walk rate has plummeted, and Zach had a good article that we've been referencing on seattlesports.com talking about the extremes of all these guys, and kind of, it's an issue with everyone in the lineup, but he highlighted the top of the order because going into this year, you expected these guys at the top to kind of carry the load. And Cal Raleigh has done that. Cal has, above and beyond, carried this offense, but you expected J.P. Crawford and Julio and Cal to be your stars. And Arozarena, I would say, because he was that deadline acquisition. You get a full year of him. So when they were doing it and they carried the brunt of the offense, that's when things were going well. And you had the 9 straight series wins. It is almost highlighted by the fact that they're struggling. And it's not fair to single them out and not single everyone else out. But for someone like Arozarena, who, this was really stunning, he had led the team in walks early on, and then he was stealing a lot of bases. So Zach mentioned here, his walk rate dropped from 16% through April to 6.6%. And he's not making contact. He's not getting on base. So when you have these question marks behind Cal or behind Julio, or sometimes they move Cal up to second, but when there's that supreme drop-off after you get past the 3 or 4 hole hitter, it becomes pretty glaring. So Arozarena, they're going to need him to step up. And the reason I think you were talking about having no real answers is because, what do you do? I mean, I can throw out some suggestions. I would say you move Polanco out of the 2 hole, but we were looking at it, and here's the lineup today, Dave. I don't know in this lineup who you put hitting second, because Polanco is hitting second again against the righty Kyle Hendricks. So it's J.P. Crawford, then Polanco, Julio, Cal, Arozarena, Tellez, Taveras, Young, Williamson. So, I'd move Polanco out of the 2 hole. I don't know who you put in there, though, because all these guys are struggling to get on base. So there's not a natural, all right, well, if you move this guy up, it'll have some protection behind it, or you'll have this benefit. I'm not sure there's an answer outside of them finding whatever they were channeling earlier in the season with this current lineup. Now, I have an idea. It's extreme, Dave, but it could be a short-term, hey, why not? We got to shake it up. And we're more prone to thinking like this than, baseball managers or front offices are, because it is a long season. So there are the lulls, there are the ups and downs. But for this time, for this portion of maybe the next month, where Jon Morosi said, this group's going to have to figure it out because it's too early to trade. And you're not going to have Luke Raley back. And we don't know if Victor Robles is coming back. Timeline, approximately September, but that's not going to help if you're in this heated division race. I would just bring up Tyler Locklear right now. If he's struggling, oh well, you're already getting struggling production from first base. So it's a new name in there. Plop him right in behind Cal Raleigh, and all of a sudden you have a new bat. You can slide Arozarena down a little bit. You have a first baseman that you can give some opportunities. If he is going to be a guy who eventually plays first base in this organization, see what you got. He came up last year. He had a little spurt. Then he got sent back down because it wasn't clicking. But right now, your options at first base are Rowdy Tellez, who can run into one, but he has had his issues at the plate, and Donovan Solano, who hasn't provided much in the way of a different kind of approach at the plate. Why not try something new? I'm not going to say it's going to work, and it probably won't, or else they would have done it by now. But just this extreme shakeup for 3 to 4 weeks of the season until it gets closer to the trade deadline, until you can get Luke Raley back, and he'll take some of those first base innings and at-bats. But right now, it's just, okay, we're hoping that these guys figure it out, but that hasn't worked over these last few series.
Well, and then Justin Hollander was on Starkville, a radio show, and he's talking about the team is better, the offense is better equipped for success than last season, but weren't we like 25 through 30 and like slug and OPS? So, I mean, it's not really saying that much, but he does think it's better than last season anyway.
I think this year's team is different. We haven't pitched probably to our capabilities or our talent due to a number of factors, whether it's injuries or inconsistencies or, maybe just a lack of overall sharpness. But we have scored more consistently. The offense has been more consistent. It has been better. We need to continue to get better on all sides of the ball. But I do feel like this year's group has a recipe that's probably more sustainable than last year's was.
That's encouraging, and I hope he's right. But that was one of the things early on, and really they were kind of piecing it together. I mean, they were getting it done with guys like Mastroboni, or Stroh as they call him now,
as we learned. Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know. It was working there for a while, and he says the offense is better equipped than last season. Absolutely, I think he's right. But right now it's just a struggle that they're having right now, and I feel like especially a guy like Polanco, it just seems like we've seen a lot of that streakiness, which is kind of strange, because JP has had some periods of time where it was really bad and then really good, and then Polanco, of course, probably the king of that, right?
Yeah, I'll say
when he started the season.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick before we get to break that I was thinking when you said that, Matt Snyder of CBS Sports we had on, he mentioned wanting to see a middle ground for Polanco because we saw two extremes.
Yeah.
Well, now that's been a microcosm of the Mariners' entire offense. So where is the middle ground for Polanco and where's the middle ground for the Mariners? And I think then you'll get a sense of what this team is, because right now they're a team that's fallen out of the division lead because the offense is not picking up the pitching, and we need them to get back to, all right, well, in April when they were winning all these series, the offense was shouldering most of that load.
Yeah. Yeah, so Adam Jude also was asked about whether the Mariners, real quick, we're going to play this before we go to break, but whether the M's have enough internally to fix their offensive issues.
No. Obviously, they're going to be aggressive going up to the July 31st deadline. I know you guys had Jeff Passan on yesterday, but I think this was part of the Mariners' plan coming into the season, too. All the consternation, all the frustration from the offseason and not making any real moves. Part of that was, A, no one wanted their prospects at the time, and B, it was like, hey, we don't have the budget, but we will probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, have it, come July, and at that point, our prospects should be a little more valuable. They tend to be a little more valuable in the summer when, obviously rebuilding teams are looking to add young talent.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of in-season moves that they make. But all right, let's get to break. Coming up, it was a moment that sent a collective cheer through all of Seattle. We'll hear about that when we sweep the dial. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's not good.
Back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road, where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of three against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman for Swedish Cyberknife. We had Andy Ryder. He is the mayor of Lacey, and he's also a Swedish Cyberknife patient. And we had him and Dr. Landis from Swedish Cyberknife in studio a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that stood out the most about Swedish Cyberknife treatment is that it only takes 5 sessions. And Andy was able to complete treatment in 1 week, Monday through Friday, while continuing to work full time. And each treatment session lasts less than an hour. So he's able to remain comfortable during treatment. You can wear your street clothes in, didn't experience any side effects, other than mentioning he was a little bit tired. But you compare that to other treatment methods where you have surgery or you have to have a catheter. I mean, it's night and day difference with Swedish Cyberknife. And also, it's really cool to see the relationship between Andy and Dr. Landis. Andy holds him in such high regard, and rightfully so. Dr. Landis is a multiple-time recipient of the Seattle Top Doctor Award. And we talk about building a sports team and trying to find stars. Swedish Cyberknife truly has that. It's an all-pro roster of doctors and world-renowned experts in their field, just like Dr. Landis. Swedish Cyberknife treats patients from all over the state, and you don't need a physician referral. You can reach out to them directly. So if you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Take advantage of Lake Washington Windows hot savings. $750 off per window and $1,500 off per door with leak armor installation. And enjoy 12 months same as cash financing only through June. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with turbo power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers, plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us, plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Hey 12, Steve Rabel here, voice of your Seattle Seahawks. The wait is over, and tickets are on sale now for our historic 50th season. This season is going to be legendary, with past, present, and future colliding at Lumen Field. Get your tickets today at Seahawks.com/tickets.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
The home of the Mariners.
Left off to center. It is on its way. Julio, 2-run home run.
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Allergy and sinus symptoms are annoying. They're frustrating and can ruin an entire day. They're also curable. I'm Dr. Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. We can free our patients of awful symptoms by testing and treating their allergies to simple, non-invasive treatments. Stop suffering from nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, facial pain, and even snoring. Let us help you get relief. Easily, quickly, and permanently. We're local in Federal Way and in Auburn. Come see us or book your appointment at sternsinus.com.
Motorcycle accident cases require a thorough investigation by a team of experienced legal professionals if they have any chance of being successful. Insurance companies, juries, and even the police tend to assume the worst about motorcycle riders. Get help from an experienced team of attorneys that have successfully resolved hundreds of motorcycle accident cases over the past 30 years. Call Davis Law Group for a free legal consultation or get my free book on motorcycle accidents at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
Scanning the airwaves for the most interesting and entertaining stories of the day. Sweeping the dial. Every afternoon at 4:45 with Wyman and Bob.
Presented by Silver Reef Casino Resort.
There was plenty of rejoicing last night after Oklahoma City choked a 15-point fourth-quarter lead and then lost in the final seconds.
The Pacers with a chance to win it. Final seconds, no fouls to give. Halliburton looking. Halliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Halliburton does it again. Their first lead of the game.
I'll tell you what, you talk about clutch there, and that was the first lead of the game.
Yeah.
That shot right there. So I'm sure OKC fans were like just kind of coasting along there. What was the biggest lead? I want to say I heard it was like between 13 and 16. Yeah, it was like a 15-point lead or something, and they end up blowing that, and everybody in Seattle rejoices, right?
I think so.
Yeah. We talked about that yesterday before we left the stadium, that because, I was listening to it on the way home, and it just felt like OKC was just going to take off with that. But I wonder if it's if you looked at like ratings in Seattle for this final, the people that are hate watching.
That is going to be interesting. I want to look when it's done.
Yeah.
I bet Seattle has a pretty high average or whatever they rate it by. One of the higher markets, I bet, afterwards.
Yeah.
Sweeping the dial.
Seahawks linebacker Ernest Jones was talking yesterday after OTAs, and it's interesting that for how good he was last year, he was not fully healthy. So it's going to be fun to see what he's like fully healthy, because he addressed that yesterday at OTAs.
I'm feeling really good. I'm getting back in the mix right now with the guys. So I'm excited. Like I said earlier, haven't been able to, play my best ball, and whether it be the knee or whether it be, other circumstances, but I'm excited for this year, truly.
Is that kind of nagging you all the last season at all, or?
Yeah, it's been nagging me for 2 seasons. Just been playing through it, was able to finally get it, fixed and corrected this offseason, so I'm excited now for, like I said, for what we got and how I can potentially push us a little bit more.
Well, the guy, what's funny? You look at him, he's pretty slight, actually. He looks taller than he is. He's 6'2", 229. But, you're going to look back on that year, and if this defense especially takes off, you're going to look back to the time when he got here. That first game that he came back, because he played 2 games, the same team twice in a row, right? It was the Bills.
The Bills, yeah.
Yeah, because he was with Tennessee.
Yep.
Tennessee, once again, unloading a really nice player.
Yeah,
much to your chagrin.
Why are the Titans getting the older Seahawks players and the Seahawks getting the good Titans players?
It's a fair exchange.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
Yeah, but
we'll
I
take
mean,
that sacrifice.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, I don't want to say it's nice to hear that he was injured last year. That's not what I'm saying. But like, it's nice to know that there's even more upside for him. So, and yeah, he fixed everything, and it's really interesting. Again, talking about Mike McDonald and how quickly he moves, and that will always look back to that. I was just so shocked. I think it was during the bye week when they cut Dodson and traded Baker, and Baker goes to your Tennessee Titans, another former Seahawk over there. But yeah, I mean, it was just, and I just remember Dodson going, I thought I was playing pretty well. You got cut.
Yeah.
So, and he ended up in Miami.
I don't remember. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you bring him in, and then all of a sudden Tyrese Knight comes along, and Mike always believed in him. And also going back to the draft, not this last one, but the one before where they drafted Tyrese Knight. I remember there was a bunch of linebackers there that were all kind of the same. And I think Schneider kind of let Mike pick on that one, and he picked Tyrese Knight. And the reason why was because he said he just sifts through and finds the ball, and and obviously not going to do that right away his rookie year, but then Ernest Jones comes along and kind of makes him right.
Sweeping the dial.
Well, this was a really great interview that Bob did yesterday with Bryce Miller. Dave was there.
Hey. It was expertly interviewed.
It was expertly done by both of you. Bryce Miller explained why he felt the pressure to keep pitching, even though all those starts were not going well, and why he felt like he had to pitch through discomfort.
We, as a starting pitcher, you want to make all 32 starts, and you want to get up to around 200 innings and prove to be durable. And this wasn't something that I was like, oh, I'm hurt. It was just something that was consistently nagging and putting me kind of in a hole from the start. And if I restarted the season, I probably would have said something sooner. But to me, it was just I felt like I could pitch, and I felt like I could get through it, and it would go away on its own, and it just wasn't going away. And so that was the main thing. If it would have been improving week to week, or if there was stuff that we could have been doing that would have improved it treatment-wise, then I would have been fine with continuing to throw, but it just wasn't getting any better.
It's got to be so tough for those guys knowing when to pull back. Because again, I even asked him about it. I go, "You're a competitor, man. I mean, you're meant to like look past those things and just keep going." But like I said, he's such a finely tuned athlete. I mean, pitchers are. You just have to be very careful.
Well, and then what he said too about feeling like he couldn't go on the IL because Kirby and Logan were out. That's tough. That's a lot of a burden to put on yourself.
Yeah.
But I guess it got to the point where they realized, look, you're not being a positive. You're not being a net positive to this team. It's almost detrimental, and it felt like it was detrimental. So good to see that he's back now, and very curious to see how he does tonight.
Yeah. All right, well, coming up, we'll get a good preview of this series you just referenced, Mike, from our guy Gary Hill Jr., and it's your last chance to send in your mean texts, so get on it. That's all up next. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Wyman and Bob with Mike Lefko.
The 0-2. Swung on, crushed, right field. This is gone.
Oh, that's
Gunnar
not good.
Henderson, back-to-back home runs.
The good news is the Mariners hit the road where they're one of the American League's best road teams. Tonight, the first of 3 against the Angels in SoCal. First pitch at 6:40. Wyman and Bob take you up to Mariners pregame at 5:30 on the home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports. Get every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Heading to the ball game? Don't mess with traffic and pricey parking fees. Make it easy and ride the bus. It's affordable and convenient. No stress, no hassle. And plenty of time to grab a hot dog before first pitch. Community Transit makes riding the bus fun, easy, and affordable. You save money on parking, and kids under 18 ride for free. See where they can take you and plan your trip today. Go to Community Transit at ctgo.org/home run.
Hold up a sec. If I work today, why should I have to wait 2 weeks to get my money? With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors available in select states. Expedited transfer is available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
This just in. The NFL schedule has dropped, and you know what that means. It's go time. Adam Schefter here with the Insider Tip. If you're trying to catch your team live this season, Vivid Seats is the move. For the best selection of games and seats, it's time to snap your tickets up now. Vivid Seats has great deals on great seats and the only rewards program in the game. It's no wonder they're the official ticketing partner of ESPN. So don't wait. Head to vividseats.com or download the app and lock in those game days.
Brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. With Saver, you earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and at grocery stores. That's unlimited cash back on ordering takeout from home or unlimited cash back on tickets to concerts and games. So grab a bite, grab a seat, and earn unlimited 3% cash back with the Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. Olympic Series windows are offered exclusively by Harley Exteriors, manufactured right here in Washington, specifically designed for our Pacific Northwest homes and climate. This is the window you want. It looks absolutely stunning, much better than a traditional vinyl window, and these windows last up to 60 years. They're going to lower your energy bills and provide year-round comfort. They come with a double lifetime, fully transferable warranty, meaning not only are you covered for glass breaking or damaged seals, it's going to help your resale and home value. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And this June, buy 3 windows and get 1 free, plus an additional $200 off your entire project. Think Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in the Puget Sound. Call 8-333-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners begin a 3-game series shortly in Anaheim. Pre-game coverage at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports in a 6:38 first pitch. Bryce Miller set to make his second start since returning from the IL, and the M's will face Kyle Hendricks for the first time as an Angel. Meanwhile, the Seahawks announced they'll honor their top 50 players that they just determined. They're going to announce and unveil them and celebrate them all on October 5th in a game when they host the Buccaneers. And Diamondback starter Corbin Burns will undergo Tommy John surgery. He's in the first year of a 6-year, $200 million contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Welcome back to Wyman and Bob. It's Dave Wyman and Mike Lefko in today. And right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook hotline, let's just get right to it. One of the most beloved broadcasters by people that work in this building, Gary Hill Jr. Gary, how you doing, man?
That's very nice of you to say. I'm not sure I believe that, but that's very nice of you to say.
Gary, you look great. You've never looked better.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Oh, what
wow,
a beautifully...
the compliments are just flying. This is great.
Beautifully framed shot.
Often.
Yeah, I mean, perfect. I love that you set the scene for us so nicely there. Beautifully framed shot of Angels Stadium and, you know, everything else that's happening there behind you.
I know. I would say one of my real skills in life is framing a video shot. I think everyone that sees this would agree.
Now, Now, if people aren't seeing it and you can direct them to the website, what might they be looking at then?
Oh, well, Angel Stadium, which is very nice. It's a sunny day. It's very beautiful. And Matt Nelson.
Oh,
again.
Oh, okay. That's the part we missed.
Yeah, okay.
What does his face look like right now? Does he love this?
Matt?
Yeah.
What do you think?
You know,
no, chime in, Matt.
He's pissed.
My microphone is broken. I can't say anything.
Yes.
I think it
He's
was
pissed.
laughter.
It's a win for you, Gary.
Annoyance. Just couldn't believe it was happening again. You got him again, Gary.
I don't have many more pictures of him, unfortunately, so this may be the last time I do this.
There's nothing that Matt hates more than people complimenting him for doing a good job. You know, I mean, you're likely to get cursed at after you say that. Seriously. Yeah, it's been the way. He never makes mistakes. You know, he's just like a perfect employee.
I am going to take this station off the air if you do not ask Gary Hill a baseball question.
In all honesty, Matt Nelson is one of my absolute favorite people. He is a treasure, and I love when he works Mariners games. We're all better for
Gary,
him.
Cal Raleigh. Logan Gilbert.
There we go. Matt, ask the great question.
Talk your baseball-y stuff.
They're doing stuff. Talk about that.
Well, we didn't bring him on to talk about the Mariners. We brought him on for this. I mean, he's coming on pregame shortly anyway, so we don't need to hear from him anymore.
All right. We'll get to it. Gary, how do they fix their offensive problems? It was just so, kind of jarring at the end of that series. They get swept by the Orioles, and, Dylan Moore goes up there and just 1, 2, 3 strikeout. You got Cal with all the production, and he's kind of saving their numbers offensively, especially slug and home runs and OPS. But how do they make it right on this trip?
Yeah, because if you ask me what was working so well the first month of the season, I thought there were two main things that were happening. And one, they were getting on base a ton. They had the highest walk rate of any team in baseball in the first month, and they were hitting a ton of home runs. They were in the top 5 in homers in the first month. And you combine those two things, getting on base all the time and hitting home runs, it was a great combo. And they scored a lot of runs, and they were one of the best offenses in baseball. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you look at the numbers since the start of May, they just haven't been getting on base at nearly the same clip. Their walk rate has really plummeted towards the bottom of baseball, and they haven't homered at the same clip. Now, Cal has. He has continued to do his thing, but, and not to put this all on Polanco, but just to point out one of the big differences, like Polanco swatted 9 homers in the first month. He has 1 since. So, and they haven't had anyone pick up that slack, because asking him to go 9 again is ridiculous. Just like I said, asking Cal to go double digits 2 months in a row is kind of ridiculous, but he did it. So credit to him. But in my mind, what they need to do in the short term and long term is get on base more and hit some more home runs. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, Gary, it's interesting because you did mention Polanco, and we're trying to figure out, kind of paralleling this Mariners offense, is there a middle ground with Polanco? What might that look like? I mean, maybe the double yesterday, but what do you think is a middle ground from the extreme of April and then what we saw in May from him?
I think that's the great point. And not only for Polanco, but I think for the Mariners. I think you're searching for that middle ground right now. And I don't think you expect the Mariners to be that offense they were in April, a top 5. And I don't think you expect Polanco to literally be, Judge and whoever else was in April, Judge and Cal, he was one of the best. So can you find that middle ground? And what does that look like? Well, hit a few home runs, right? 4 or 5, be productive. And for Polanco specifically, lately he's been hitting the ball hard, which is great. He's just not getting the ball in the air enough. And you look at, I talk about barrel rate, and I know some people roll their eyes at barrel rate sometime, but truthfully, barrel rate is when it's like perfect contact. And it's not a home run every time, but it's like the perfect combination of exit velocity and trajectory, right? And so that's why Cal's so good. You look at barrel rate, and the top 3 guys are Ohtani, Judge, and Cal, right? So it tells you kind of what you need to know about it. And Polanco's barrel rate was great in April, and it hasn't been the same in May, since the start of May. And it's really, even when he's hitting the ball hard, he's hitting the ball on the ground. So the good thing is he's hitting the ball hard. If he can get a little more loft, it could happen pretty quickly. And that's what you hope, because they need a couple of other guys to start cooking a little bit outside of Cal.
Charles, get your churros.
Yes. That's a Matt Nelson special.
I
heard that. Yeah.
He was waiting so long for you to acknowledge that. You're a pro, Gary. You are.
Gary is a pro.
You're a pro.
You can't rattle him, Matt.
Yeah.
Churros.
Played it like 10 times. I really thought this was going to be the thing that did it. I'm so
I was hearing it, but then, I just kept talking. So.
Yeah.
All right, sabotaging the interview's over. We wanted to have Gary on for a great interview, and this has devolved into a war between you two. So we'll wait for the next salvo next time.
All right. Let's get back to it now. We got a chance to talk to Bryce Miller yesterday, Gary, and he just sounds great, and sounds like he's because we were afraid that it was like something mental that was going on, like he had something he couldn't get past, some sort of barrier or whatever, and it turns out as that it was just all about him having nagging injuries that just didn't go away, and and I wonder if that will kind of I feel like all big league pitchers eventually figure out, okay, I need to listen to the trainers and the doctors and start to sort of back off a little bit, but What are you expecting from him? I would love to get our starting rotation from last year. They're here. It's just that we haven't had them all going at the same time.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about Miller before I came on. I think you made a really good point, too, in that starters don't always feel great, right, through the course of the season. It's really hard on your body. You don't always take them out feeling perfect. So finding that right balance of, okay, when do I need help here? When do I need to shut it down? Like, it can be – it's not as straightforward as you might think. And I'm really anxious to see what this start looks like for Bryce. And, we saw him his first time out. I don't know what to expect, really. I'm hoping that it's just kind of a crisp start, like his velo's good and he's throwing strikes. That's kind of what I'm hoping to see in this one. And, I mean, the big goal here is you get closer to what he was last year. I mean, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball last year. He truly was. And I know he was overshadowed a little bit by kind of everything else that was going on in Seattle in terms of pitching, Logan Gilbert and everyone else. But he truly was magnificent, especially that run late in the season. And when I think about this Mariners season, and this is connected to the offense, when I talk about finding that middle ground offensively, connected to that is getting back to that rotation that we expected during the course of the season. And I don't expect it to happen immediately tonight, but you're hopeful that Kirby is getting closer. You hope that Gilbert's getting closer to taking the mound, and we'll see the Logan Gilbert from last year, and hopefully we'll see Bryce Miller from last year. Because then you can kind of picture out this could all come together. I give them a lot of credit for where they're at, given the circumstances, with all the injuries, kind of the roller coaster ride of the offense the last couple months. Yet through all of that, they're right here. They're right there at the top of the division, and a division that can be had.
Gary, with all the close games that the Mariners play, we know it's always kind of a premium on the bullpen. It seems like, well, are they always short because they're playing so many close games, so you need so many high-leverage arms? And you look at Andres Munoz, and some questions had popped up about his workload. Then he entered the weekend, and he did give up those runs in those games against the Twins. Do you think that was kind of a workload thing, just a blip, or now what do you expect out of Munoz? I guess unintentionally not good that he wasn't used during the Orioles series, but he never was used during the Orioles series. Do you think that was enough of a break that now whatever happened against the Twins, that's past and he's back to his dominant self?
Yeah, that's the good and bad, right? You'd like to see him out there every single day, but it's tough because you can't, obviously. You'll run him into the ground. And the Mariners do play so many close games. There's so many situations that you need him in. I guess I don't connect what happened against the Twins to workload. I feel like that was going to happen at some point. Like, he wasn't going to go through the season with a 0.00 ERA, although it felt like at times that he was absolutely going to do that, just given how dominant he was. But he was going to give up runs. He was going to get hit at some point. So I don't connect it to that. We'll see what he looks like the next few times out. But I expect him to be his dominant self. If the Mariners have a one-run lead going to the bottom of the ninth tonight, I expect him to take the ball, and I expect him to throw rocket fire and wicked sliders and close it out, just because that's what we've seen so consistently this year. And he's truly been, in my mind, the best reliever in baseball so far this year. If you stack up all the closers on the All-Star team, he's the closer of the closers, in my opinion. That's what he's been so far this year.
Hey, Gary, we're listening to Seitzer talk a little bit, and just kind of some of the messaging that you're hearing from the hitting coaches just in general based on, or I would say compared to what you heard last year. How much more confident are you with this messaging that's going on to the hitters right now from Seitzer and Edgar?
Well, I think the good thing is that you've seen it, right? You've seen the results already. This is not something that's all based on hope. This is something where you've seen a lot of guys on this team, most of the lineup at one point, succeed in pretty big ways with what has happened so far this season. So that's kind of, that's, I guess, the way I think about it and the messaging. You just hope it clicks back in. That's what you're waiting for, is you have a couple guys rolling. Cal obviously is doing his thing. JP has been marvelous this season. And he's rolling into this game with nearly a 400 on base, which is elite. I mean, that's really good. He's had a really good season. Julio's been good as well. I know the numbers aren't eye-popping, but he's been good. If you can get a couple other guys to come along with it, a little more power involved, I think you're getting closer to where you were. And so that's how I kind of think about the messaging is it's happened already, so it can happen again.
Gary, what do you expect out of this series since we're about to turn it over to you guys and pregame coverage coming up at 5:30? Is that weird 2-game set against the Angels, and it's been a little over a month. What does this Angels team look like, and what are you expecting out of this series?
Yeah, it's a great question. So being here again, we haven't been here since last year, and I've thought about the series, a couple of series here last year a lot, because when you look at how the season ended up and how close the Mariners were to the postseason, I think about those 2 series against the Angels in particular, where there were a lot of walk-off losses, a lot of tough losses to a team that honestly wasn't very good last year. And in a lot of ways, you can think about those Angels series, and that cost the Mariners the postseason last year. So, I think about the Angels this year, and it's funny because they're the only team in baseball that's rolled out the same starting 5 all season, which is not what you would expect out of an Angels rotation so far this season. It's a very veteran-laden rotation. But I think the Mariners have a chance to get healthy offensively. And I think they have a chance, warm night, it'll be a warm couple nights here in Anaheim. I think they have a chance to put up some runs. This is a bullpen that's been beat up. So they have a chance to get into the bullpen and beat them up as well. Hendricks hasn't been great. He's a veteran that's been around for a long time. So I guess that's how I'm thinking about this series. This is one where the Mariners owe the Angels one, and I think they have a chance to put some runs on the board as well.
Gary Hill Jr., have a great call, man. We appreciate you coming on, and just know that Matt Nelson, deep down, really loves you. Okay.
He won't say it, but deep down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Gary, one quick thing, because I know we do mean text to end this show on
yes.
Fridays.
He doesn't want to be part of it.
Right. So, no, there's a mean text.
You can make me a part of it.
Well, there's
That's
a mean
fine.
text that I think hurts us, not you. So 360 says, I think it's cute that Gary pretends to listen to your show. So we'll end on that one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. So, thank you, Gary. You can pretend to
You
listen
can
to mean
include me in
text.
mean text. I just won't necessarily keep listening.
Right.
That's all. That's
okay.
fine.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
All right. There he goes on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Matt's favorite guy in the world, Gary Hill Jr. He's just pubbing Matt. That's all. Just trying to raise awareness about the genius of Matt Nelson.
I think he wants you to get to mean text so he can read mean things about you.
Okay, let's go.
Morosi and Gary Hill Jr. A fun show and a lot to get you ready for the first game of this series, the Mariners and the Angels. And then we'll be back on Monday. Bob will be back. Dave will be back. I'll be back to annoy Matt Nelson in the other room. So you got a lot to look forward to on Monday.
On that, 10 seconds.
Yeah, and we will be back to talk about everything that happened over the weekend. Plus, Seahawks mini camp gets going as well. So we will be back with all that. Right now, it's Mariners pregame coverage coming up next on Seattle Sports.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10.
We got John Smoltz with us. If you had to describe this Mariner team in one sentence, what do you think they are so far?
If the Seattle Mariners find a way to score runs, they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to be a dangerous team. When they get the confidence that they don't have to win 2-1, 1-0, that is a big time difference when you're looking at a team that everybody knows just needs to score runs to win.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer needed. The brutal side effects like 4-hour headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health, it's about a better life.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Do you have a car you'd like to sell but don't want to go through all the hassle? With all the scams and security risks out there, more and more people are uncomfortable selling their own car. So how do you get the most money for your used car without selling it yourself? Stacy here with the answer. Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your car and pay you right up front for it, but it gets way better. Once they resell your old car, they share half the profit with you. The question I get most from my friends and colleagues is, what's the catch? And how can they offer this? It's super simple. All the money they save by not traveling to buy cars at auctions, like purchase fees, shipping, and travel expenses, is what allows them to offer this. They'd rather share that money they save with you than outside vendors. They encourage you to shop around, but if Wayscar Ford can pay you the same or more as their competitors and then share half their profit with you once they resell your car, why would you sell your car anywhere else? They've already shared over $800,000 with customers, and it's only at Wayscar Ford. That's wayscarford.com, Wayscar Ford in Auburn.
The home of the Mariners.
One hopper snared at short. On a quick hop by J.P. Crawford. That guy's a magician over there at shortstop.
Seattle Sports.
Download the Seattle Sports app.
Wait, if I work today, why should I have to wait 2 weeks to get my money? With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors. Available in select states. Expedited transfers available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. Olympic Series windows are offered exclusively by Harley Exteriors, manufactured right here in Washington, specifically designed for our Pacific Northwest homes and climate. This is the window you want. It looks absolutely stunning, much better than a traditional vinyl window, and these windows last up to 60 years. They're going to lower your energy bills and provide year-round comfort. They come with a double lifetime, fully transferable warranty, meaning not only are you covered for glass breaking or damaged seals, it's going to help your resale and home value. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And this June, buy 3 windows and get 1 free, plus an additional $200 off your entire project. Think Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in the Puget Sound. Call 8-333-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and